Okay, should be live. Hello everybody and welcome to the Persona 5 Strikers Town Hall finale. Guess I should do an actual introduction since this is part Town Hall discussion, part podcast. How's it going everybody and welcome to Shin Megami Tensei Network Link 255. I'm your host Spencer Presley. Joining me for this episode is Could Be You, ? Mysterious Fabulous Guest, ? Tom Taylorson? I hope. Probably not, but I added him on Twitter, so we can maybe make a miracle happen. But yes, everybody, if you would like to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the amazing, Persona 5 Strikers, which is for like the next 14 hours as of this live recording, free on PlayStation Plus, you can basically chat on YouTube live with us right now, or you can jump into the SMTN Discord, which is linked below, and basically hop in there, chat away, hang out in the town hall, wait for me to call on you, and all that fun stuff. So we did one of these at the beginning of the month, and it was pretty good. It was obviously spoiler free because the game just went free to millions of PlayStation Plus subscribers. So we didn't really want to spoil anything for them now, but we've given them a month. If you want to talk spoilers, positive opinions, obviously most people out there know I love Persona 5 Strikers. I've loved it since I imported it with Scramble, but I want to hear what you all think about it. So hop in the Discord if you would like to wait patiently or just chat away. But first off, I think we're going to start this stream a little bit weird. Also, shout out to everybody in the live chat right now. Demi Crow with the hot questions, let's be honest. Demi Crow, the $2 super chat, as the man, the myth, the legend you are you going to get the Alcoholic Baja Blast? That will be a mandatory video review on the channel. That's not even not even a question. I don't even drink alcohol that much. That's a mandatory. Have to review it. Mirth Mouser, fellow P5 lover. Hello Spencer, and good evening to the rest of you. Jagingus popping off in the chat as you do. But we're going to start this off a little bit differently. We're going to see if we can get our first guest in here. Our guest spectacular. Possibly. If they're still alive. Do it like few. Oh, Mirth! Fantastic. No review for you today. That is awesome. Talking to one of our potential guests. But yes, so our first guest is actually someone who does not know they're a guest, but I'm going to be very rude and we're going to cross the streams to start this stream.
Single being.
Hi, fellow streamer Mac.
Hello.
Mac, what do I tell you almost every night you stream?
To have some warm milk and cookies before I go to bed.
No, I would rub your belly if I was telling you that. I always tell you, Mac, why are you streaming on Monday night? I'm literally about to start streaming myself. How dare you one-up me, as you always do.
How about you, motherfucker? I've been streaming on Monday nights for weeks, for months, for like a year plus.
So, hello everyone in Mac's chat. You're actually live now on my channel. I'm harassing you with my Discord friend abilities. So, Mac, as long as you would like to, you're the first guest, so no pressure. Spoilers are welcome. What do you think of Persona 5 Strikers after almost a year?
It's good. Not like just in general the game. Period.
Well, the whole package, story, gameplay, whatever. Like this is just whatever. Like you're the most unfiltered right now. There's nothing holding you back.
It's good. I think it's my favorite of the Persona spin-offs. But it's in that same kind of era of like spin-offs can only really be so good of a main like they can only, for the vast majority of the time, spin-offs of a franchise, they're only going to be so good when compared to the original. So I think Persona 5 Strikers is definitely the best Persona spin-off. I don't think it's as good as any of like the mainline Persona games, but I think it is really good.
I'm surprised you actually hold it up there as like the best of the best.
Well, I'm the only other one that I could really consider would be like the arena games, but I'm just not huge into fighting games, so to me, Strikers just has more value.
Not yet. I was actually joking with Gnarly. I was like, "Are you excited that this is a year you're probably not going to have to make like any Atlas reviews?" And he's like, what about Ultimax?" And I'm like, "How many like besides me, how many of our friends do you think are actually going to be covering Ultimax more than like a review?"
I have no idea because that is like, oh my god, that game came out what, 2014? That game's 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's only so much you can really do with it.
Well, see, but my dumb idea with it is I will just stream it until my eyes bleed.
I mean, that's one option. Yeah. Yeah, no, there really isn't. There really isn't gonna be much going on this year.
But that's kind of I don't know. At least for me, like I kind of think of that as like a good thing. Whereas like I'm excited to just play new stuff.
Which is nice. Having an off year would be.
We can finally get your hot and heavy review of Horizon Zero Dawn 1 and Forbidden West, which everyone's been waiting for.
Wait, what the fuck? Cole Phelps, thank you for your SMT vids. My wife didn't want to play SMT because she feared I'd become a Satanist. After she saw your SMT4 vid, she allowed me to play it under her supervision.
I appreciate that he got supervision for it.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. I completely blanked on what I was gonna say. That comment.
You were talking about how you were looking forward to. You were talking about how you were looking forward to all the things you don't have to play, but more importantly, you were also going to talk about your thoughts on Strikers because you've clearly not made a video talking about Strikers.
I mean, yeah, it's a good game. It's a good game. I think I still very much a year on believe that it's hardcore. Like I come to the Warriors games for the Warriors, for specifically Warriors. I still think Persona 5 Strikers is a game that is more likely to appeal to Persona fans than to Warriors fans. Mm-hmm. Not to say it's impossible, but you know, it has more in common with the standard Persona game than a standard Warriors game. Kind of swaps around the balance. Because you know, like Hyrule Warriors is just a Warriors game with a Zelda skin. This is like a Persona game, but with like Warriors aspects.
I came up. I think it was our last town hall.
I like it.
I think with our last town hall, I had a way of like, what's the easiest way to defeat people who keep telling me Strikers is a Warriors game? I'll be like, where's Lu Bu? If there's no Lu Bu, I'm not hearing it.
That's a good point.
Because everyone knows Lu Bu is the only defining factor of Koei Tecmo's Warrior games. But Mac, I will not distract your stream anymore in Hijack It, but you were the only person I could easily be mean to. But because you were the first one, that means you get to get our captive audience on my channel to go over to your channel. See, what's happening right now is everyone's got a dual gamer monitor set up. And they're watching you and my stream at the same time, and it's very meta. So, but in case they're not, where can they find you and harass you?
You can find me at Maka, and I'm currently in the moment streaming 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. I'm currently at a moment where there is the absence of an elephant in the room that needs to be addressed. And then you came in before we could address the elephant that is not in the room. And this is not a comment about the fact that this character has like thick thighs.
Oh, now I know who you're talking. It's like, who's the elephant? I was so confused.
Yeah.
It's like, who's the, like, is there someone with like elephant tits I'm missing in this game? I was very confused, but no, that makes sense now.
Well, there is someone with elephant tits, but this is not the one. This is a different one who has very thick thighs, and I was more so just using the colloquialism. But also, she is... if it wasn't too late for a back-of-the-box quote, I think elephant tits and elephant thighs would be a good one for Atlas if they were thinking about it. Choke me with your thighs, mommy.
Oh, that's a great note to end out on. Enjoy your stream, and if you're still going by the time I'm done, you'll get extra kudo points. So everyone go spam Mac. in
I will
life.
say I did start late, so I might still be. I was doing some video
It's a
prep
challenge.
notes stuff.
It's a challenge.
Yes.
Oh, did you get your microphone
Yeah.
thing figured out, by the way?
Uh, I don't. I mean, I don't know if it's been popping while I've been streaming
No,
because I can't. I'm not really listening to
no, you
myself.
sounded perfect when I popped in earlier.
Cool. Well, otherwise, I was able to record audio, but the way I was able to do it, is I had to just take my whole setup and hook it up to my laptop, and it worked fine. I don't know if it's still happening on my desktop, but I just completely circumvented the problem. So at the very least, I can keep working.
That is really weird, but at least it got all sorted.
Yeah.
All right, man.
It's also very hard to like Google what it is because it's like a digital popping, and most of the time when you Google like audio, they mean like, and no, this is like a weird digital pop. I don't know how to describe it.
No, I get that, man. Well, thanks for letting me bug you, and I will probably harass you later tonight. So goodbye, everyone on Mac's stream.
Goodbye. Come over to mine when he's done.
God bless Mac. That was completely unscripted, by the way. So that's how you know he's a real friend. But all right, everybody, we are now open to Town Hall guests. So if you would like to jump into the SMTN Discord, the video description has everything on there. You can jump in, talk about basically whatever you want with Persona 5 Strikers, and we can kind of go from there. Just make sure you're muted, and I will call on everyone in an orderly fashion. If you're in the chat and don't want to join the Discord, understandable. I know not all social media platforms are for everybody. So you can just at me in the chat, and if I don't see it, just keep adding me or super chat about Baja Blast or Jack Bros, whatever gets my attention first. I should have everything kind of back of everything there. Also, Kuro, thank you so much for popping in, even if you're no longer still here. Quick answer about the B-roll. Why is the B-roll in Japanese? I used all of my English B-roll for the last Town Hall, and I was too lazy to make new B-roll. So here's me playing the PS4 version on the PS5 in December of 2020 when the game got announced or leaked, but wasn't actually like up yet. So enjoy some random ass B-roll footage that may or may not spoil. But without further ado, let's jump into the thickness with our first guest. And I kind of like didn't even see who was popping in first, so we'll just go by top to bottom order. So first up, Cross Renren. Cross on over here with your cross tag battle. How's it going tonight?
So cheesy. It's going good. Very good.
So you've made it 1/12 of the way into the year, the game known as the life. Strikers, you can say anything you want, spoilers or no spoilers. How do you feel? No filter. What are your thoughts?
Okay, well, since the last stream, I wanted to talk about the final boss, which I think it's one of the best final bosses in all of Persona games, for the simple fact of you use all your party members. Like in the game of All About Friendship, you get to use all your party members to beat the boss, which I think that's so cool. I think that is amazing. I remember I played it for the first time, got to the final boss where Joker's like, all right, we got to split up or whatever. And I was like, wait, are we actually doing this? And I chose who everyone's going to fight to. And yeah, you get to use all your party members. I'm like, that's so cool.
It's interesting you mention it. Of like, I like that boss fight a lot. There are a couple of weird issues I have with the final boss in the sense of like, I would have liked it to be set up a little bit better, but I think that's kind of like a staple in some of these games. Whereas like, my complaint is never with the boss fight itself. Like, it does such a great job, like you mentioned, of really utilizing everybody, even and it's not even like everyone has to be like leveled up all the way or whatever. Like, it feels like it's very fair, it's very satisfying. The final boss isn't a pushover, but it's nice that you can use characters that you maybe barely touched in the game, because yeah, that's like one of the big things that I always wonder when it comes to like big team-based RPGs. It's like, why are only 3 of us taking on the final boss if all the cutscenes show everybody there?
Yeah. It's just I'm so glad if they didn't have, I forgot what's called, the mastery arcs. I think that's what it's called for every character in the game.
Mm-hmm.
If the game didn't have that, you think I'd get to the final boss and go, "Oh, Haru, On, and Sophia are my level, while everyone else is at like level 10." That's not good. But thankfully, it pushed me to use all the characters and get all their abilities because I had a sigh of relief because I realized, okay, everyone's about the same level, so that's good because it would be really odd to do the final boss and everyone is just at completely different levels. That's what thought I was gonna do until the mastery arts came in. I was like, okay, I gotta actually play with these characters. But yeah, I had fun. I just had to get out that the final boss of Strikers is just so cool that you use every party member, one of your party members has an actual on-screen contribute to defeating this, and I think that's amazing.
How did you feel? I'm assuming you played it with the English dub.
I did.
How did you feel about the sound mixing? Because one of my biggest complaints I wish they patched, but they never did, was I like that everyone's there, but everyone is kind of mixed so poorly, it's really easy for some of their dialogue in the battle to get really drowned out.
I'm gonna be real. I don't think I ever noticed any difference. I'm just like I played mainly most of the game on my TV. I played the Switch version, so God forbid my left joystick. But besides the point, yeah. So I don't think I really. Maybe I didn't hear because I'm like so focused on there's so many enemies. I have to defeat all these enemies and all that stuff. But I don't think I remember hearing any real difference with the audio mixing.
Okay. Any other kind of like last thoughts or anything else you want to put out there, whether it be positive or a complaint or a nitpick?
With Strikers, I really like Strikers. It may be my favorite, and I'm sure it's probably my favorite Persona spinoff because the other Persona spinoffs I've played is Q2 and Arena Ultimax, and Arena Ultimax is good when you have friends to play with. Q2 is a game. I wish it had a dub.
Yeah.
Just I know this is a Persona Strikers thing, but Q2 really, if they could have just put a dub, man, it would just been so cool because every character from the modern Persona games is talking with one another. It's like you get to hear the English voices that you heard in the game because I'm assuming most people played it with the English dub first for the game. So hearing all those characters with all their I'm not even talking about just the whole game has to be dubbed, but just the main story cutscenes, just to have everyone talking, and it's like, wow, this is cool. I get to have all this glorious fan service on the go. Which I guess you could kind of do that with Strikers too.
I would actually say I think you would have to do the gameplay also for Q2 because like there's so many fun and cute little like crossover special attacks like in little animations they made that like not having those voiced would also just sort of like feel different. Whereas like I believe it'll happen one day. I don't think it's happening anytime soon, but like it just seems like such a easy way to like make a re-release that sold really really poorly when most people's major complaint was just give it an English voice cast.
Yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on. As is tradition, dictated by nobody, but I do enjoy this one. What is a random game you would like to recommend people should be playing that you've not recommended last time?
Oh dang. So I'm happy. I'm glad you said that because I was about to say AI again. Game that what's it? Shoot, you stole the game I was gonna pick. Dang, that's hard. What recent game have I played that I'm like, this is a game that took me? I don't know if if you like action with some enemies, you should play Devil May Cry. That's a good franchise.
Devil May Cry, the game that's thankfully on everything now, so everyone can play. But yeah, Devil May Cry, never not in vogue. Very very solid recommendation.
Yes, but you still should play AI the Sonic Files.
Play back to back, in between each mission.
Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah, well, thanks very much for coming on. All right, our next one, because I'm feeling very saltini, Demonica Crackers. get on in here. How's it going tonight?
It's all right. It's fine. I mean, I'm super tired because yesterday was my school day. But yeah, I'm fine right now.
Well, yeah, for you, what's it like? Is it afternoon or morning time?
It's morning, like 9:32 a.m.
Oh man. Yeah, I literally just got out of work before doing this, so I'm tired for very different reasons. I wish it was my morning, but at least I get to be doing something a little bit more fun than my day job.
I just drank some coffee. Don't worry, I'm tired too.
But yeah, so coffee aside, although I guess coffee is kind of related to strikers. Strikers, no holds bars. What do you think? What do you love? What do you want to nitpick? The floor is yours.
Well, let's start with the good first, all right? I've been meaning to talk about Strikers because it's a game that I've actually forgotten because I played so many games relatively for me.
Mm-hmm.
To me, Strikers, the good stuff first. I like the music. Like, I immediately got hooked when I played the demo and said, "Ooh, your devil is sounds cool." You know, it sounds very energetic compared to. I wouldn't say Persona 5 music isn't energetic at all, but it's more mellow and more relaxed compared to Strikers.
No,
You
definitely.
can feel the hint of rock in the music,
Mm-hmm.
and also I I really like that it got on PC. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I'll talk it later, but I'm glad that it's on PC. And I don't know. After uh, I feel like the game itself is very cozy. You know, just like it reminds me of Persona 4 in terms of it. It's feeling. I feel very cozy with all of my friends. I think that it's decent of a game. Now, I want to move to the combat. I don't know if you're feeling this, but how about you, Spencer? I want to know how do you think that the combat is
I
after you played so many of it?
I love the combat just in the sense of like it's deep enough that it never really got boring for me, while also was never really like overly complicated. There were aspects I probably would have liked a little bit more or would have found interesting. I would have liked to see the guns used a little more. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more interactivity with the environments outside of sometimes getting on a rideable something.
Oh yeah,
It was
yeah,
nice
I
that that
feel you.
interactivity was there, but it would have been like it gave us like like a little tase, but I would have liked a little bit more. Like I like what's there. I think it's good for the amount of game that's there, but I think definitely upon multiple other playthroughs, there are little moments of like, oh, it would be kind of fun to do this, or even other little weird ones. Like I've mentioned, like I think this would be hard, but I think this game would have been really fun if you could have done it co-op. Most likely online as a sorry, most likely actually yeah, probably online would have been easier because with how much platforming you do and stopping time, it would be a little bit harder to do local. But I think that would have been a really good one with it. I actually
Mm.
because Crossrunner brought this up, I like the master arts that you learn. I wish there was more than four because I think it's really easy to learn all four and then never really have much to progress in terms of your skill tree. I like that it's not a traditional like unlocking a skill tree with points, whereas that's all with the bond points. But then I feel like
Mm.
almost 75% of the bond unlocks are so kind of like whatever that most people won't really care about them. Like there are unlockable skills, but those are mostly triggered after boss fights. Whereas like I would have liked to have seen more universal skill unlocks with Bond outside of the handful that are there.
Okay, so yeah, I do agree that the game has tons of missed potential. I do think that the gameplay is unbalanced. Like you said, there are some things that this game favors a lot, especially Persona skill. Now, I get it that this game is a Persona game, but I do feel that they go a bit heavy-handed on that part since even if you upgraded your weapons to like the best weapons in the game, I do feel like it still favors the Persona skill a bit more. I think that they could incorporate a more actiony stuff to the action part instead of picking the skills. I think that I think that the controls is stiff. Maybe because especially now that I've played Metal Gear Rising, that thing is father smooth. I crave every night. But yeah, I do feel that it's a bit stiff. But I do like the attempt here. I just think that if they ever get to make a Persona Strikers 2, I think that I would like for them to incorporate persona skill a bit more to the weapons. Maybe use the maybe turn the persona into a weapon instead of persona and a weapon different.
Yeah, because
Ah,
like there were definitely like moments where you can kind of cheese a boss or a harder enemy just by spamming, and I would have liked a little bit more because like certain characters have those moments where like oh if you do a square square triangle or like a light heavy light variant, you will have elemental attacks kind of come out. I almost would have liked more integration of skills and combos as opposed to it stopping everything.
yeah, I do agree. And speaking of that, I'd like to transition to the story now.
Hmm.
I don't know if I've ever talked about it. I think I've chatted with Epoch for a lot of time in the server. It's Persona 5 all over again. It's like Persona 4, so it's like Persona 3. It's the same structure but even more but like it's the same stuff. Like if you like Persona 5, you may like it, but in Persona 4, I do think that the game itself, yeah, I do think that the game feels more like a Persona 4 in my opinion, simply because of the coziness. Like you get to be with your teammates a lot more. It's
So
cozy.
one of my things because
Yeah,
I do push back against the it's just Persona 5 again thing, whereas it's lifting a lot of themes from Persona 5, but I feel like it's so intentional that I don't view it as like copy and pasting. Whereas, like, if it was still the main cast going through the trials and tribulations, I would definitely understand it. Whereas, like, it's like the good easy parallels, like, it's on having to work along with you with a model who's going through a similar thing that she did. Whereas, like, it doesn't give me like filler vibes, but like it gives me like you know how sometimes when animes will like have the movie plot where it tries to feel canon, but it doesn't feel like a waste of your time. Like, because sometimes with like OVAs, I think like anime OVAs have a bad tendency of like this story has no meaningful effect on anything. And while Strikers doesn't really affect the world of P5 outside of introducing a handful of new characters and two Phantom Thieves, it's one of those things where I thought it built off of the cast enough where like I personally liked the story in this way more than 5 and even Royal.
I do. Yeah, yeah, I do agree that it's much easier to pick up if you don't have any prior knowledge to Persona 5. I think that you can like you said, you can easily pick this game up, and you will basically still feel at home or um doesn't feel left out by not playing the original. And yeah, I do agree that I we shouldn't approach the story of this game not as a copy and paste of P5, but making the players feel familiar, which can be a good or bad thing. Personally, I don't think that it's that bad. I mean, like I said, it's cozy. This game is supposed to be cozy for uh, Persona 5 fans and new players alike. There's no need to be a deeper story. It just needs to be familiar enough for the player to say, "Oh, I see that. I see that. I know this. I know this. I definitely know this." But I do think that the game is gets a bit no. If you have played through the second dungeon, you basically know how the game will plays out the rest. Especially if you have played Persona 5 regular. Ah,
So,
ah,
I got a question for you then. So, if you had to change something to make the overall story better, in your opinion, what would you say? Like, what would something that you think would add to the story in a better way?
I don't know. I just think no, no. In fact, I don't think that they should change it, or like they need to rework it from the start. If it was my opinion, but because I don't know, I think that the game works fine enough with it is. I just do think that the plot twist needs to be a little bit more work.
No,
Like
that's definitely true. The plot the plot twist definitely leaves a lot to be desired. I will say here's a weird one that like I think about sometimes. I've never understood why some people are very hung up on the story not explicitly commenting on characters. Like I've talked to people who legitimately are like, oh, it makes no sense why Kasumi isn't brought up or why Akechi isn't brought up. Whereas like Akechi is either Ripstone or we don't know where he is, and then Kasumi's whole thing is she got retconned out of the entire series basically in Royal's ending. Like Royal already is like, yeah, she's just off doing gymnastics for the rest of her life. So like I always kind of find it funny, whereas like I don't think having those other characters would have really changed the story, and if anything, would have probably given less screen time to other characters by having them in. Like, should they have been playable? Yeah, definitely. But it was one of those things of like the story wasn't worse because Akechi wasn't in it.
yeah, I do think that introducing that character, maybe introducing as a DLC like LC would be a neat trick, like for one level or something, like a one-off thing. But no, I don't think
I'm
that.
still so shocked that this game is the most reserved Koei Tecmo game they've ever made with DLC. Like even by Atlas standards, this is like so like cheap. Like because like if you're not because like obviously not counting the all out attack pack that was made just for the West, like all they did was music DLC, which was fun, but like they did nothing else, which is so crazy. Like Koei Tecmo and Atlas to a much lesser extent are the kings of squeezing every bit of money out of your pants as possible. And like what's so weird is like after looking at other season passes that do so much, like even with like Age of Calamity, like they've had such a great track record. It's almost such a weird shame of like this is one of their best selling games Omega Force has ever made, and there's no DLC at all. Which just hopefully in my brain, what that tells me is they saw it selling so well that they just decided to do what a God of War did and just say, okay, instead of making DLC, let's just make a sequel. And I hope that's what's happening as opposed to they just didn't care.
At least they're not doing it IO interactive way, where they basically make a whole mess of editions for the game.
Yeah, God bless you, IO Interactive. It is sad that it took a year after release for Hitman 3 to be easily recommendable, whereas now you can just go, just buy it on Game Pass. Just play it on Game Pass, and that way you have everything. You don't have to worry about Epic Store or Steam or blah 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 or whatever. But yeah, do you have any other kind of?
Wait.
Oh yeah, what's up?
I want to say about the PC port first, because
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
you mentioned that the DLC, right?
Mhm.
Well, there's a certain quirk with the game where if you load the DLC with the game, if you have the DLC and then load it, the the game loading, like the first time you load the game, every time you boot it, it slows down like completely, like almost double of the length. Like if you take like 30 seconds to boot, now it's 60 seconds or
Wow.
1 or 2 minutes.
So just initial boot or like all loads?
The initial boot, but it's always the initial boot. Like I don't, I learned it like quite late, but yeah. Even with SSD, this game is painfully slow to load compared to other games. And also, this game is a nightmare to work on PC. The anti-aliasing is poor. There is no ultra wide support, which I remember have to use sort of like a hacky way to make it work ultra wide, which doesn't look as sharp as native ultra wide. And the crash. Since this is a spoiler, right?
Mhm.
Um, you know the Shadow Joker fight with Akane.
Mhm. Yeah.
It stops to a halt. You cannot progress through it until you like start as administrator, or like to use Windows compatibility, which sucked hard, especially because the game, okay, it does crash quite a bit, but it doesn't
Did
like
did the
completely
did the
stop to a
PC
halt.
performance for you, did it get any better after they did the second patch? I know there was a launch patch and then a second PC patch, but I know they were beta testing a patch last year. I don't know if that ever actually finished, but had the experience gotten any smoother, or does it kind of feel like they gave up on optimizing it?
I mean, it's quite Tecmo.
Mm-hmm.
They botched the living hell of this sport. You know games like Fatal Frame, where if you don't hit 60 FPS perfectly, the game would slow down. Thankfully, it doesn't happen with this game, but it's still botched. Like, I hated it,
I
especially that I paid full price for it.
I will say this. This is the weird thing because you brought this up, and I was actually talking about this with it might have been Gnarly or someone like that. Something about the PC version of this game. No, it was a Patreon friend of the show, Patrick. We're talking about playing this game on ultra wide, and I cannot believe this doesn't support ultra wide. Just because this game, because there's mods that kind of, like you said, will get it to work, but it's not really like a smooth experience. This game, if it supported it out of the box, I think would look amazing in ultra wide.
Like I said, it's Koei Tecmo. Dynasty Warrior 8 cannot be You cannot change Dynasty Warrior 8's resolution up from 1080p. It's that bad.
It's is it sad that that now like the best way to like play most Koei Tecmo games is still for whatever reason like consoles. Like I'm glad that at least like they've at least made a commitment as a company to make PC releases day one, but it is one of those things of like obviously as someone who doesn't play PC, this has never affected me, but it is one of those funny things of like Japanese companies are a lot better now at making PC ports, except their quality is always all over the place. Like even look at like something like Nier and other like examples of it, whereas like
Oh, Nier Automata. Oh God, that thing.
yeah, like
Ah.
it's just like it's always like playing Russian roulette with like a release, and it's like that's why I'm like I'm a dum dum. I put the disc in. I know it's gonna work.
The only time I have that kind of experience, almost have that experience, was Killer 7, and that's a fucking GameCube port.
That is a somehow still only on the PC port, nonetheless. That's such a weird one that NIS did. I've always wondered
PC still
why.
wins, baby.
I've always wondered like why they only ported it to PC. It makes me wonder if there was like some weird plan to do it on consoles, and they were like, "It's Killer 7. This is not gonna sell," and they were just like they gave up.
I mean, Suda canceled the Silver Case and 25th Ward 4 to the TS while they still leave Flower, Sun, and Rain, which is like the second game. Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
second game in the Kill the Past series. This man is
I
weird.
had totally
fucking love
forgotten that there was going to be a Silver Case DS port. I totally forgot about that. Although that's probably for the best. Like I know it feels like a system that's good for it. I hate playing visual novels on the 3DS or the DS. I think it's such a weird fit for me personally.
Well, imagine playing Flower, Sun, and Rain on DS.
Well, like the exclusive ones like that, well, yeah, even like though that one was more of like a port. Like I will say, like the ones that are like exclusive, like Hotel Dusk or whatever. Like I think like the ones like those, like that work with it. I think is an interesting one. But yeah, those are always such a weird thing for it. But before we get over to our next person though, what is one game you would recommend to people in bonus points if it is a good PC port?
Unfortunately, it's not a good PC port. This game doesn't have ultra wide, but it's Watam. I'm
Oh,
I'm
okay.
currently playing it now. I know that the game was made by Katamari Damacy's developer, and suffice to say, I cannot describe this game, which is perfect for me because I like weird shits.
Were you a fan of Nobi Nobi Boy? I need to ask then.
I al- I just know that from you, you know. I need to check that one. Nobi Nobi Boy.
I think Nobi Nobi Boy is a PS3 exclusive. I don't think it ever actually came to any other systems. Although that was such a weird game, I wouldn't blame them for it. But
Oh,
no, what
and
Wadham is a great pick, and it was really close to actually almost getting canceled once. So thankfully, I think it was
yeah.
Annapurna Interactive picked it up. It was going to be published by Sony, and then they dropped it,
Oh,
and then Annapurna
it
picked it up.
it definitely feels like Loco Roco, right? It definitely gives me that vibe,
Okay,
the
no,
Loco
yeah.
Roco vibe.
Yeah, that's a good
All
one.
right.
I feel like that would be a game that like I wish there was a demo for that I could just like easily recommend to people.
Oh, Loco Roco. Oh,
No,
Watam.
well, I guess there is, yeah, but no, Wadham definitely, yeah, seems like one where it's like, it's a harder sell until like you get someone's hands on it or not, but yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah,
Thanks for
thanks
the
for thanks
opportunity.
for coming on and chatting and giving the rare PC discussion, which I am very bad about giving on here. All right, so
All right.
our next
Uh,
guest is going to be Jagangus, who will probably not mention the PC.
No, I did not play this game on PC, so
That's okay. Jagangus, how
when
are
this
you?
game came out, I didn't have a PC yet.
Jagangus, how are you doing tonight? And also, tell me all the ways that Persona 5 Strikers has wronged you.
Well, tonight I'm just here, taking my time away from Berserk and Apollo Justice to talk about a game I played a year ago.
Are you playing which Berserk game?
No, I'm saying it because I'm reading Berserk.
Oh boy, I was imagining like you were playing like one in each hand, like you were playing Berserk on PS2 or Dreamcast, and then Apollo Justice.
I'm not that good. I have them both on my PC though, and I'm gonna play them when I finish Berserk and the Warriors game.
I would
I'll
say,
play that
in
too.
order of quality, the Warriors one is the best, probably, in terms of just being a fun game. Dreamcast is second, and the PS2 one's a really close third. But they're all great. Although that does remind me of other weird Japanese PS2 ones. Are you a JoJo fan at all?
You are talking to the right man. I know. Are you going for Phantom Blood or are you going for Golden Wind?
I was gonna say, because isn't there a Golden Wind PS2 game?
There's one for both Phantom Blood and Golden Wind.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the Golden Wind one. I remember playing before I even knew what JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was. It was it was just like I knew a store that would just put on random import PS2 games. And yeah, no context JoJo is very weird, especially for me, I think at age like 10.
Just playing as a dude with cinnamon rolls on his head and a
Basically.
spirit coming behind him, punching
Basically.
a melon cat.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, so it's been a year. It's not Apollo Justice, unfortunately. But what are your thoughts after all this time with Strikers? Is what stands out as really good still? What do you wish was a little bit better? You have the floor.
Well, one thing I did really like about Strikers, of course, was the boy Zenkichi.
You know what? I wouldn't even call him the boy. He's just he's the man. He's the man. You know what's funny? He's the man and the mom. I think of him more as a mom than a dad, even though he is a dad.
Even though he's Octodad?
That is true. Happy, I think it was like 8th anniversary for Octodad to make me feel very old.
Oh, is that 8 years old? Really? The first one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That's weird to think about, actually. I remember when that first came out.
You know what? Here, you bring this up because we've definitely spoken many hours about Octowolf in this game. Is Zenkichi that good of a character, or is Zenkichi so good of a character he overshadows Sophie, or is Sophie a kind of forgettable character? Because I have no problems with Sophie, but I feel like no one ever talks about Sophie. I always wonder that.
I mean, I enjoy Sophie. I would say I probably do like Zenkichi more overall, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Sophie isn't exactly the kind of story we haven't seen before. So
No, definitely
especially
so.
in Persona.
But I wonder, like, if
I mean,
you
not
if
like
you
we haven't seen
polled
Zenkichi exactly
if we polled
either,
the
but,
majority though, I feel like if we polled the majority of fans, I feel like, because like even for me, like when Sojima posted that art this week of Strikers, I was like, another Sophie drawing? Like he's done one drawing promotionally of Zenkichi. It's that yellow one of Joker, Sophie, and Zenkichi.
well, honestly, that makes sense to make Sophie kind of like the quote-unquote Strikers mascot. That makes sense.
Is
So
it is,
like,
is it just spoilers? Is it just spoilers reasons?
I mean, it could be that, but honestly, I just feel like they feel Sophie's more marketable
So
than a
now, I'll let
literally
you phrase
bad.
this because I actually want to ask. I'm going to ask this in the live chat and I'll ask this on Twitter as well. Should I say
Mm.
who is the better character or who comes to mind first between the two of them?
Huh. Well, honestly, those are two different questions. Honestly, you could ask both. You could kind of do one and then the other, and just see the different results you would get.
I'm gonna
I
gonna
don't
do
know.
it exactly. I'm doing who comes to mind first when thinking of Persona 5 Strikers, and I'm very curious what people are gonna say. But yes, while I'm typing, please, again, the floor is yours.
The options are Sophie, Zenkichi, and the mom from Zack and Cody.
Not actual Siri or Tony Stark.
No, dude, when I found out that the actor for the mom and Zack and Cody was in that game, I just like had to sit there for a moment, like, are you kidding me?
I'm more disappointed in myself because I like to get weird guests on the podcast. I feel like she would be an easy guest.
Hey, I mean, maybe you can still try for it. Just year anniversary.
Ma'am, it's been a year,
Try
and
and see if you can get her on.
I've failed tremendously of getting Tom Taylorson on, but I've got the next best choice, and it is you, the mom from Zack and Cody. Not your actual character's name. We're just gonna talk to you about Zack and Cody questions forever.
I mean, I'd watch it. I'm not gonna lie. It would be kind of nostalgic.
It'll be like a 3.5 hour Disney Channel like wrap up. And you know, it might help though if I actually knew that lady's name though.
I feel like I knew him. I'm just not very good with names, especially of like actors.
But here's one actually I want to ask that we haven't talked about too much. Is there a character from the main Phantom Thieves who you think gets the best amount of screen time in Strikers outside of Joker, obviously, because he's not really a character, and who gets the worst amount of screen time, or I guess like the like least like satisfying?
Well, honestly, going back to the Zack and Cody mom, I did think that Haru, her little part of this game, was pretty decent compared to what she got in like a good amount of Persona 5.
Although yeah, that is yeah, I like her overall story more, which is kind of funny because you think the one that would actually be about her blood relative would be more impactful, but again, that kind of goes
Yeah,
back.
you would think.
That just goes back to the thing of we knew her stupid dad died before we even met her dad, so kind of sucked up a lot of the air out of the room from there. But I've never thought about who I thought probably had it the best, but yeah, Haru's a really close one. I would probably say Zenkichi myself, just because I think gets probably the most.
Oh, well, yeah, Zenkichi. I was just thinking about the ones
Oh no,
not
you're right.
including the new
I literally
ones.
said
That's what I
the
was thinking
Phantom
of.
Thieves. I couldn't even listen to my own question. No, so that
I
is
mean, technically he is in that group
yeah,
now,
but
but
like
like I was
out of
thinking
our
of just the Persona
yeah
5 original
out of the
people.
established characters.
Yeah, that I would say Haru for that. Least I honestly never have thought of.
Oh, I know of a character who I think I would put for gets just nothing really in terms of development for her. Makoto gets like nothing really in this game. Like she's fine, but like
Yeah.
she doesn't really get a lot. I think Ryuji doesn't really get a lot. Cuts Lanova, thank you so much. Carrie Martin, I knew someone in chat was gonna be this was gonna be the Zack and
course.
Cody diehard wiki fan over here.
Thank you for coming to the Zack and Cody podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Link 340.
I have a long stamina for dumb podcast topics. Do not test me. I could easily go for way longer than I should talking about Cole and Dylan Sprouse. But yeah, because like it's funny because the game kind of makes you think it's going to be following Persona 5's story structure of like On has a person she goes off of, Yusuke has a person she goes off of, Haru, and then it kind of flips its head with everything when Zenkichi gets more involved in the party. And then there's never really like a Ryuji person or a Makoto person. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what I should have said, even less so than Makoto and Ryuji. Why is Futaba in this story? Futaba has almost nothing to do. Her
Yeah.
only role, like, is to be in the dungeons. I guess hypothetically
Get
in the
defended.
dungeons, and then that one sequence with Zenkichi where she frees everybody. That's the only part she has in the entire story.
She's there for the stealth mission and there to hack things, and you defend her and not die.
Wow, she's so forgettable. I forgot that she had nothing really to do in the story. That's
Yeah,
like
that's
that's
as we
funny.
were talking about it, I was kind of like remembering like what was Futaba doing in this game?
Just leave it at that. What was Futaba? What is Futaba in this game?
What? Imagine if they tried to pull a like they did with Rize in Persona Arena and gave her a fighting persona.
That's actually one of the ones I wish more people would kind of talk about. I don't know why they didn't make her playable ever in Persona 5. Like, it's not like there's a hard written rule that the navigator can't be playable. Like, we've seen it with Mitsuru. Even like the only one that like I think is still egregiously bad is I cannot believe there's never been a playable Fuka. Fuka's really weird. Rise,
Like, do you mean like use the Navi as like a turn?
yeah,
Or...
like there's no reason the navigator can't be a offensive
that
character.
could be
Or
an interesting mechanic.
yeah, or even like the fact of like even if they can't do offensive skills, why they can't just do buffs like instead of
Yeah.
like turns and stuff.
I mean, that's basically what they do as it is
Mhm.
sometimes.
But yeah, like it is funny of like I think because of the new characters and stuff with it, it is funny of like half of the Phantom Thieves really have like nothing to do in the story
Yeah, it's
outside of those
interesting that
moments.
they kind of like picked and chose like who kind of got like a moment in the game, and then just kind of like, all right, new characters now.
So we'll do a quick thing before we get off to our next one. I'll play a quick game for you. I'm gonna say a character, and it will most likely all be Phantom Thief characters. And I want you to tell me
Okay.
what's the first sequence or story moment from Strikers that comes to mind for them.
Oh, I feel like this isn't gonna go too well for me.
Ryuji.
Fuck.
Yep. On
The Alice boss and like the Alice thing in general, basically.
Yusuke.
I mean, basically that entire palace that was based off him too. Yeah.
Oh no,
Those
I think I found someone more forgettable than Futaba in Striker's story. What
Oh
does
no.
what does Morgana do in this story? I don't think Morgana does anything.
It seems like a good amount of the Phantom Thieves just kind of got shafted for this game.
I wouldn't even count it as shafted. It's just weird of like I
Or
can't
like there's
think
just a
of
whole lot of nothing with them.
well, because like at least in Persona 5, Morgana kind of like could be the one explaining the metaverse and stuff, but because everything was so new to everyone, Morgana has like no insight in this world, which is really funny. Like outside of maybe in the beginning, where there's that one sequence that is not very funny. There's that one thing. Yeah, there's just this one thing of like, oh look, I'm a cat again, or I guess like, look, I'm a human, not a cat again, and then we just don't talk about it ever again.
Yeah, I did find that weird, especially after Royal.
I think I only give it a pass because they did make Morgana's triangle button just be turned into car, which is a pretty solid gameplay mechanic.
I do like that. Yeah, Morgana was basically just used as that one time in the beginning of the game where Zenkichi freaked out about a talking cat.
Like I have more memorable moments with Akage. God, even the villains. Although I mean the villains I think actually do get a lot of good development for all of them. But yeah,
Well,
like
yeah.
this is one of those funny things where I think actually I wouldn't even blame it on the characters not having anything to do. I think the game just focuses so much on the new characters and the new villains. so much, ironically, with the
And
exception
and
of
it's
probably.
weird that with some of those new villains, they have like a specific Phantom Thief that they like relate to for at least like half of the game.
But yeah, and then they just kind of
It's
like
weird
give
how they
up. Like
pick and like
there's
which
no.
ones.
I wish we would have like kept that motif going of like relating a Phantom Thief to a villain. Like I would have liked Akira to have someone that he like related to, and also like was it like Konoe or
Give your
whatever.
silent villain protagonist a character? What?
Well, like my other thing with it is like I'm thinking of I liked the Doctor character until she had to become the villain, in which case
Oh,
it was in like
Ishinose?
yeah, like Ichinose was just kind of one of those things of like I get it, but I'm not like happy with it, which is one of those things of like I don't love
Yeah,
her
like
as the bad guy,
it was
but
there.
yeah, it was very much kind of a necessary evil sort of thing with it, but. Yeah, man, it's funny. I've never really reflected on the story that much in the sense of like as an overall story, it's very very solid. But I've never really kind of thought about the things that are lacking. Like if you're a diehard Morgana or Futaba fan, this story has nothing for you.
Like, remember that character? Now you don't.
Oh man, that is you know what? We can at least end on a collective agreement that no one got done dirtier than Makoto's sister. Sai just is like the laughing stock of
Oh
JPEGs.
my god, I honestly forgot about that, and oh my god.
It's actually it's more impressive that they got the voice actor to come in for like those 3 lines nonetheless. Like that's the funny part.
Like, I wasn't even a character model.
No, yeah.
Wow.
All you got was the blurry JPEG, and it was like, you know what? That's good enough for me.
Wonder who that could be.
Well, I mean, you know what? I'll take her over the SIU director anytime.
What are you talking about? He's gonna be a playable character in the next one.
Strikers 2, SIU director's revenge.
Okay, but if there is a game that should get a Strikers, let's or something like it, let's make another Rido and.
What if Strikers 2 is just Rido 3? It's called Persona 5 Strikers: The Rido 3 Vengeance.
Rido 3 Vengeance.
I mean, let's be honest. Rido's like world.
No, they market
rules
it as
make no
Persona
sense.
Strikers 2, and then like they just like keep showing just Persona 5 stuff, and then you get the game, you play it, you play through some of it, and then randomly, oh no, it's not Persona 5. This is actually Rido 3, bitch.
But like, I'm thinking about it like this: of like, Rido in terms of Nocturne can go anywhere in any place and time or in the universe with no repercussions. So it's like he could literally just be the Doctor Who of Persona 5 Strikers 2.
You know, just make him the Doctor Who of SMT and Persona, and I would be okay with that. I need more Rido
This is
in my life.
this is a strange comment I have to put out there, but if Rido was a Doctor Who character, he would still be better than Jodie Whittaker probably.
Him and Godo riding through the SMT universe.
It's a very, very obscure and specific fan art we've conjured up. But Jaginga, thank you so much.
This is going to be a whole new spinoff right here. What are you talking about?
This is you know what? That's who's going to be the 14th Doctor. It's not David Tennant. It's going to be Rido Kuzunoha the 14th. That's why he's the 14th.
Go. That makes so much sense. You're so right.
We're gonna make this cursed fan art by the end of the year. I'm absolutely
Amazing.
sure. Thank you
okay
for
with
popping
that.
up, man. Oh, almost forgot. What is your recommendation game to recommend?
I'm gonna throw 2 games out because they're related.
Mhm.
American McGee's Alice and Alice Madness Returns.
Ooh,
I
class.
love Alice Madness Returns to death.
Is this because of the news about David Hayter adapting them?
Well, I mean, I did see that today, and I was like, huh. Okay, Solid Snake is making a TV show for for Alice. Interesting.
I
But
I
mean,
trust
it's
David
just
Hayter.
the game
I'm
that's always
excited
on my
about that.
mind. And I finally played the first Alice game this year, and it was I quite liked it. It's interesting.
They're really interesting concepts, and I think he is working on a third one. Although he's got like
He's trying to. He's like it's EA shit and all that. Like I'm part of that Patreon too. So because I
You know-
want that to get made.
you know now that we've willed it into existence, EA is going to buy American McGee and announce Madness 3 turns tomorrow.
and I will be jumping for joy. And I don't care that it's 3 turns, whatever. It exists. That's all I need. And yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right, man. Well, have a good rest of your night, and thanks for popping on. All right, the King of Jack Bros is here, and also, more importantly, I need to ask: is this a title you've had to defend?
Maybe.
I would
I
love it
can't
to
speak
be
on that
like,
right now.
no, I'm the King of Jack Bros. I'm the real Jack Bros fan.
I might be. I might be.
So,
There's always a possibility for someone to come sweep me under the rug and take that title.
so Demi Crow, are you here to yell at us for going over an hour and we have not once talked about the best scene in Persona 5 Strikers where all the Jack Frosts just run across the screen?
I was thinking about that. And I was thinking about it, but I don't have a voice box right now, so I can't do that right now.
So yeah, though for you, what stands out? It's been almost a year after Strikers. Actually, I should have been asking this for everybody. What did you play Strikers on?
So April 2020, I bought it on my Nintendo Switch, the Japanese copy.
A
And
real fan.
yeah, and I think it's actually one of my most enjoyable Persona games to date, mostly because of the combat makes up for I think the combat makes up for some of the pacing mistakes in this game, where sometimes I feel like things go way too slow and get explained too thoroughly, and sometimes the game goes way too fast and you don't explain it enough.
What's an example
Literally,
you think that could have used a little bit more attention?
um, so I think just certain characters should have been more like fleshed out and things, sort of like Alice, like go to the extent, like share more about her backstory, and just instead of just saying, oh, she got bullied, um like all that. I think they should have like taken the characters and went more thoroughly into like their backstory and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of my only real complaint with the new ones was really just Ichinose. Ichinose was one that I'm like, even with her kind of explanation we get at the end, I still don't really like it, even though it makes sense. But I think it would have worked better if instead of trying to trick us into not knowing she's the bad guy, I think Ichinose's story would have been a lot more beneficial if we knew she was bad from the get go and we're learning more about her upbringing that made her this way. Kind of like how we did with Maruki in the final dungeon. Like, I would have really liked how if we could have found, like, different will seeds of, like, oh, here's, like, a flashback to her in each one of the, like, cities we visit.
Yeah, I I don't like Ichinose just for the reason that I can already tell at the beginning of when she gets introduced, she's already going to be the bad guy. I already know that we're going to at least face her at some point in the game. My 9 copies right here of Persona 5 Strikers / Scramble. I've known it since the Japanese version I've played, but I wish they would have been more thoroughly. Also, something about I wish they would have explained Akane's mom's death a little bit more. I know this is a whole different like sort of thing, but I wish they sort of extra mile like for like Futaba. Not Futaba is a terrible character with a terrible powers. I'm sorry for Futaba lovers. Um, I wish they just showed more of the character and their backstory more.
I'm. It's funny. I haven't really thought about that aspect of it too much. But yeah, it is one of those things of it's not something I would envy in most aspects for it because it's just gotta be so hard. Because like think about it, like this is a main cast that's in the double digits already in terms of stuff. So it's really hard of like when's the right amount of stuff to include that's not just like oh hey
Filler.
you're in because like really like looking at something like Sojima. Nice, not Sojima. Like looking at something like oh my god, why am I blanking on boss's name? literally live in his attic. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name this much right now. My lord. Help me out here, Dimitri. Sojiro, yes. Like, he's the equivalent of like a Stan Lee cameo. He's barely in the game, but he doesn't need to be. Like, he doesn't even get like what like you. I would have at least thought like Sojiro. I would have at least thought that he gets like a call after each city of like, hey, I'm checking up on you. How's my RV? Did you bust it down or anything like that? Like, no, just normal thing.
Yeah. Also, one thing which I think is just bad about this game is that I think the game looks bad. Like, I think the pixels that are shown in this game just make it look like each character had a frying pan or acid thrown on them. I don't know if you think the same, but I think
the models are definitely a lot lighter in color in some ways, especially with like the cell shading. My funny thing with it is this of the only character that like stands out to me that got done dirty by Striker's new engine, I think, is Ryuji's hair looks terrible. His hair looks like popcorn.
It looks like a Try Guys video in 240p.
That's a thumbnail I could make. I could make that thumbnail, and I'm very disappointed in myself for saying that.
I don't know how else to explain it, but the game looks like if they took PS3 Persona 5 and tried to port it to PS2.
So I will say this. Have you only played the Switch version?
No, I have played PS4 and PC.
So, like, I think it is something that definitely looks better on, like, a 4K display. But as someone, like, yeah, like, my first impression of the game going off of Switch, because I was, like, the first way I played this was in a car, at, like, 10-degree weather, with a Switch. And I'm, like, playing this thing, and I'm like, this is serviceable. Like, they did the thing of, alright, do we choose it looks really great on Switch, or do we make sure it runs good? And, like, I think their bar for the game was make sure it looks at least as good as the original. And maybe try and flourish it up a little bit better. And it definitely isn't, like, a universal thing. I actually like how this looks more so than... I would say it looks prettier than Royal, in my opinion, but it doesn't look prettier than, like, Dancing. But obviously the Dancing models can be a lot more articulate and stuff, because there's less going on in that game. But I'm one of those things where it's like, especially for a game like this, I would rather it look like this and play at 60 than it look better and run at 30.
Yeah. I just bring up another point. The PC release on release day, paying $70 for it, I bought Digital Deluxe, stupid me, but it ran at like 15 frames per second on release day, which didn't make the game bad. It just didn't make the game good.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I could enjoy it with the slowdown, but the slowdown was so noticeable that I had to put it down and just wait for the other versions of the game.
Yeah, and I will say, it's sort of weird. This is one of those rare games that actually didn't get more patches on Switch than I would have thought. Like, whatever we got was like, that's the game.
I don't know if this is true, but the Switch, I believe, and maybe the game itself, got a patch which made the load times less bad. Because instead of it being like friggin' 45 seconds or like 30 seconds on Switch, it brought it down to at least like 20. From what I can tell.
I see. I haven't messed around with the game too much. I never imported it on the JP one, and I know whatever the American one got outside of one patch, pretty much was just a patched JP version, so it'd be harder to compare with the other stuff for it. But what I'd be curious to see is I would like to kind of get to the later parts in the game, and I'd be curious to kind of compare launch code versus the patch of like what, like, say like the final boss fight. I want to see like what the final boss fight was like running on the Switch in like portable.
It ran actually pretty solid. It ran smoother than I would have thought, with a little bit of frame rate dips, but that's because there's like freaking 25 things happening on screen at once.
Mm-hmm.
It ran smoother than I would think, but it's still a switchboard to Dynasty Wars sort of
One
game.
of-
So there's still
If anyone out there is ever like, man, I can't believe how blank runs on Switch, I will never forget playing Age of Calamity with my wife, 2-player split screen on the final boss. You can see the Switch melting. It it was like that thing of like you were playing like a slideshow presentation. It was so funny. But, like, even though it was that broken, like, it was still playable and it was still fun, but it was one of those things of, like, I think because I've seen the Switch at its absolute worst, like, when I'm playing Pokemon Legends, I'm like, wow, this doesn't look terrible. That's great.
Pokemon Legends is amazing. It is the only Pokemon games I will be playing from now on.
I wish I was
Because-
playing Pokemon Legends right now, and that's not a diss on this doing the podcast. It's literally just I've only been playing Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, grinding and grinding and grinding, and I'm like, I have better games I could be playing right now that I've actually not played yet, but I'm so close to it. I can't justify stopping now because I'm too close to the platinum, but it is one of those things where I'm like, I picked up Pokemon Legends at launch just because, like, oh, I've heard a lot of really good stuff. I should do this. It sounds great. And I played through the tutorial, and I played a couple hours, and I was like, this is awesome. And I was like, well, back to the PlayStation 3.
Yeah. So, what was I gonna say? I don't fucking know.
You
It's
were,
fucking not.
you were
10:23
going
at
to
night.
say one thing, because I think because we've leaned on a lot more interesting stuff. What's one thing you feel like Strikers never gets enough recognition for that it does well, though?
I would have to say. What would I have to say? I would say the English voice acting for the villains. Those are some of the best English voice cast I believe in any Atlas games. Because when I was playing the Japanese version, I would just imagine what those characters would sound like in English. And they sounded like I would think they would in English, except for the freaking second guy.
Oh,
Sounds like frickin'-
Natsume.
Yeah, freaking douchebag. I fucking hate him.
I will say that the voice cast was surprisingly really really solid. But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on and waiting so long. What is your game recommendation that's not Pokemon Legends?
Skate 3.
Skate 3 specifically on 360, or which one are we talking about?
360.
I respect it. Backwards compatible. Go play it, everybody.
Yes.
Now
I've been playing on Series S.
I'll have one hard question for you before you say goodbye. Will the new
Yes.
Skate not suck?
It will suck, but it will suck in a good way. It will suck where diehard skate fans like me will hate the game because bring too many new aspects, but it will be still a respectable game in the skate franchise.
All right,
Sort of like Skylanders.
I'll make this a little bit harder, but make it the actual final question. Will Skate 4 be Tony Hawk 5 or Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 2 HD? Which one of those will it be?
It will be Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2, but the controls will be good.
Okay.
And the physics will be decent.
I appreciate it. Skate fans, stand down. You've been represented tonight. I appreciate it. Demi Crow, thank you, and I will be mailing your bottle of Baja Blast liquor to your P.O. box right away.
Thank you for having me,
All right.
Tensei.
The self-proclaimed Ryuji to end all Ryujis is finally here. Mirth Mouser. You've waited, I think, 9,000 years, and you even skipped work. I think you quit your job. You went to your boss, and you were like, "Screw this noise! I've got to talk about video games."
No, I just rolled a very lucky number and didn't have to work today.
Oh, I'm glad. As someone who worked today, I don't recommend it.
I have to go back tomorrow. It's the worst.
But yes, we're here talking about. I hope this is not too much of an overreach. One of your favorite Persona games?
I'd say so. It's easily my favorite spin-off. I would say it almost reaches how much I would love a mainline game. So yeah, I would say like marginally behind the mainline games. It's one of my favorites.
Okay, so since
Not
you and
marginally
me
is too
are
big of a
such
word.
fangirls for this game, then we're gonna start this talk by being really jaded right away first. So, what
Oh no.
was your least favorite boss fight in Strikers?
Oh, least favorite boss fight. That's a good question. Um, this pains me to say it because I actually love the jail. The fourth one, the one on the island. What was the name of that?
Oh, yeah. I think it's Okinawa.
Okinawa. I love that jail. It's severely underrated, but its boss fight is just it's just a goopy shadow. It's not like an actual boss fight.
Yeah,
And that's disappointing.
thematically, it's like one of my favorite jails. But yeah, its actual boss, it's got as much scare and memorableness as like Mike Wazowski, and it's just very forgettable and boring.
I would say that jail itself is one of my favorites just for the atmosphere and mystery alone. And, that you basically go into it, to dodge a crowd that is out to kill you and your entire team. It has a fantastic introduction. I loved it. I was thoroughly engaged. I was hoping that's where Zenkichi was getting his awakening, but that was the next one. And then we get a boss fight with just a normal shadow.
I will
So much
say
good build up, and that's what it gives me.
that boss does not deserve to be the FU line. I feel like the FU line, if we saved it for a more memorable boss or the finale, I would have liked it more than
It
just
should
like...
have been saved for Ichinose. Absolutely. When she's like bad mouthing Sophia and literally calling her a doll, calling her worthless, calling her garbage that leads up to her awakening, that's when Ryuji should have stood up for her. Like, no, you shut up.
So
that would have taken a 10 out of 10 line to a 12 out of 10 line.
So my next mean question for you then is this: who was your least played character and why?
Ooh, that is Haru. I'm sad to say.
Wow, too slow or too heavy?
I would say too slow. Her moveset didn't make sense for me for most of the game, and I figured out way too late about how her guns work, and I was like, oh, okay, this is her one good move. I wish I knew this before beating like 75% of the game.
Like one of the funny things talking about playable characters, I still think is a huge detriment to this game that makes no sense, is I don't understand why in New Game Plus everyone's not unlocked.
Wait, they aren't?
Like, like playing as Wolf and stuff like that.
Oh, I see.
Like, I already think he takes a little too long. Like how we mentioned, like I think unlocking him in Okinawa, it's tough because it's like makes sense. Like his reveal is great, but
oh yeah, I love his awakening.
But it just takes just a little too long to get to him because he is the only other new character, and I think Sophie's moveset is pretty vanilla for the most. It's weird. It's technical, but it's not flashy. Like, I think both of the new characters have very interesting pros and cons to their movesets, but I don't think, like, learning to master Sophie's yo-yos isn't as fun as, like, doing a giant AoE bullet storm.
Yeah, big time. I would say Sophia's moveset didn't make sense to me until I was like halfway through the game. That's when I actually started, fully utilizing, her charging her yo-yos features, and that's when she really started to click for me. Once I actually learned her combos, then I started using her a lot more often. But she feels so weird when you first start the game. Her yo-yos just feel a little bit too weak, a little bit too slingy, and I was like, nah, I'd rather just play Ryuji and Yusuke.
Dimikro with a very important question. I am one of the 9 people who have played this game on remote play. This was
oh no.
I would have I'm trying to remember. It was fine, but it was one of those weird games where it was so flashy. I wanted it on the TV as opposed to because it's not turn-based or anything like that, where I feel like I was robbing the game by playing it on my Vita, but it's very, very serviceable. But yeah, this is one of those games that's after I was greedy and played it at 4K 60. I was like, I can't go back. And if I go back, it's hard.
I really, really want to wait till I get a 4K TV to play my PS4 version, but I want to start it so badly. I first played it on Switch, and I know some people don't like the Switch part. I think it's fine.
Oh yeah, for what it does, it is incredibly serviceable. You're not missing out on the. It's not like you're playing like an inferior version. That everything that makes Persona 5 Strikers great is still great on the Switch.
We're not playing Age of Calamity. It runs better. I'm sorry to say. I'm sure that game is fun, but that frame rate.
Take. As much as I love Strikers, Age of Calamity is definitely a better playing game in terms of like more fun.
You're probably right when it comes to, actually getting, in the grind of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just have yet to really sink my teeth into it.
But also,
Strikers was my first Muso game.
Also, again, Age of Calamity, incredibly not fair to compare it to, because A, Zelda nostalgia, and B, split-screen co-op makes everything more fun.
That's true. Such a shame Strikers didn't have that. I would have loved that.
Like, just the idea of just, like, imagine, like, splitting up for, like, searching through things in the dungeons with a friend, be like, alright, you take 2 party members here, I take 2 party members here, we go there and we meet at X place or whatever.
Oh, that'd be so fun. Now that's speedrunning strats right there.
Exactly.
I really, really had a lot of fun with the gameplay. I think my only real nitpick for it is I don't think the dodge feature is very good. It doesn't feel satisfying. It's like how the dodge works.
It's interesting because it's used like a very action. It's not even used like a warrior's dodge is normally, because the dodge is almost, I would say, like exclusively for bosses. There's almost no need to ever use dodges outside of boss attacks. But I think playing on higher difficulty like modes, like dodging was incredibly essential to not like get like one-shotted.
Yeah, it's probably because I was playing Monster Hunter Rise like right around the same time, and so I just my brain had to constantly flop back between them, and I'm just so used to having a satisfying dodge, and then to just have that. It was just like it's too quick. It doesn't cover a lot of ground. I don't feel like I'm actually dodging. The only time I felt like the dodge was working is when I would hit the dodge button and it would auto dodge. I was like, that's when it feels right, when I'm just tricking my brain that it's working.
I think one of the reasons I started to really like dodges though a lot more than I did in the beginning, once you basically unlock bullet time, where if you successfully dodge at the last minute and slows down, I started using that a lot, and it was really, really satisfying.
Oh, wait, that's a feature? I don't remember that.
After, I think it's the 3rd boss fight, I think after you do the Ice Queen, if you dodge an attack at the last second, so when you would get hit, instead of parrying, it slows down time, and you get, basically, I think it's like 3 to 5 seconds of all enemies are slowed down, and you can wail on them.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I thought that was the perfect dodge activating, or the auto dodge activating. Like, occasionally your character will just auto dodge an attack.
No, this was a specific banned skill that you unlocked after a boss fight.
Okay, so it was, so the dodge was working. Okay. Oh, I guess I was wrong. I was gonna say, like, why doesn't it work like it works in Automata? I was like, oh, it does. I'm just stupid.
Here's a weird one for you. Another hard question, but on a much more positive step for it. Best moment in the game. It doesn't have to be like your favorite, or at least like, well, no, it might be like, but like what like stands out of like thinking like what's the best part in the whole game from beginning to end? Like what stands out to you?
What stood out to me, and this is very specific, is like I experienced Strikers with a friend, and when we got to Sophia's Awakening, neither of us saw it coming. She already had a persona. She had no reason to get an awakening. And when the scene started, she's standing up to Ichinose. I was like, this reads like an awakening, and I was like, yeah, it kind of does, but it's not going to happen. and then it cuts to black. We see the loading screen, and we both go, holy shit, is she getting an awakening? And then the cutscene plays, and we absolutely lose our minds. We have never seen an awakening that we just did not see coming. You always know when a character is going to get their awakening because they're playable. They're on the cover. Of course they're getting an awakening. She didn't need it, so we didn't expect it. So yeah, I'd say that's the highlight for me.
That's a great highlight. Although I do need to ask you, tell me why I'm wrong by saying I think Sophie has probably the worst persona design out of all the Phantom Thieves.
No, you're not wrong. I love her awakening, but her persona's a little underwhelming compared to how all the others
I just feel like for Pandora's Box, you could think of so much more than just box with vagina and boobs.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like symbolically on a visual level, I'm not sure I quite get it. Besides,
if there's ever merch of her before Valjean and Wolf, I'll actually like vomit. I'll like vomit out of depression.
Also, can we just gush about Zenkichi for a little bit?
Please, the floor is yours.
Zenkichi, I would say, has to be my favorite adult in the series. Simply because I don't think there's another adult in the series that's written like him. Persona is really good at making that natural social divide between adults and teenagers. That sort of realistic divide where, kind of adults kind of talk down to teens a little bit. And Zenkichi is unique in that he talks to the other Phantom Thieves kind of on their level. Like, he's still their babysitter. He still calls them, you dumb kids. But he almost talks to them like he's one of them, like he gets it. There's not the divide you feel like with Sojiro or Dojima or Sai. It's just like, no, he's part of the gang. They joke around with him, they mess with him, they call him Gramps. Like, no adult has been written like Zenkichi, and it's so endearing, and what really makes him feel like another Phantom Thief.
I do have one weird, I guess complaint's a good way to put it. One joke that continuously fell flat to me and I've played the JP version and does not really like land this way, is the we don't respect the police thing. I know what they're trying to do, but like they run that joke into the ground immediately and it never stops. Like, until, like, pretty much almost, like, the second to last dungeon with him. Of, like, I don't know why Haru's the one who's telling this joke. I don't know why her saying it straight-faced is funny. Like, the only, like, thing that, like, I've ever looked at that and thought about was, like, it would register, it would register, I guess, if you just, I guess had a fuck the police mentality. But, like, none of the characters are really like that. So, like, it's, like... Because then it's like, okay, well, Makoto's sister is still a cop. Makoto herself still probably wants to be a cop, and like doesn't really make sense. Like they know the events of the last game weren't just because cops are evil, and it was one of those weird like little localizing things of like this didn't make anyone more funny or like more nostalgic or whatever. It was kind of a weird like miss for me. Like, how did you feel about that?
Well, that really only happens kind of when Zenkichi is first introduced, and he's very unwelcome in the cafe, and you almost kind of feel for him because he's just being kind of a chill guy, and everyone's just so cold to him. Mm-hmm. And then that line with Haru, I think it's only said like 2 or 3 times.
But I think it's more weird that it's just her. Like, why does she have the chip on her shoulder about police?
It's probably her. She is like she's the cute one with the high voice, so she gets to say, "Sorry, but we hate police." So it's funnier coming out of her voice, I guess.
Like for me, I would have liked it if it was like we've got trust issues. Like this guy got tortured by the police. Like it would be like if we played it more for like that wasn't trying to like come across as like, hey, we're very aware that the police are unpopular in Western culture.
I think Zenkichi's intro did that enough. It's just like, yeah, look, they're not big on authority. They're not big from cops from the last game. It makes sense. I think his introduction did that enough. And I kind of get why the thieves slowly warm up to him.
No, yeah, for sure. And I do like at least he does a great job. I think one of the dynamics that don't ever get enough talk, I forget her name, I feel bad, but Zenkichi's boss, I really like the dynamic between her and
the
him.
commissioner.
Yeah, there's a really...
I don't think she had a name.
I just really liked that, because like, it would have been very easy to just make her, like, second evil police lady... Which it was kind of nice of like they made her feel like a realistic character in the world, which was very nice.
Actually, to go into the commissioner for a bit, I fully expected her to get a jail for this reason alone. The first few jails in the game kind of have a counterpart with with one of the thieves applying lessons they've learned to further the warden's growth. Wait, they're called monarchs. I'm sorry. The monarch's growth. That's what I thought the commissioner was going to be for Zenkichi. Zenkichi's gotten his awakening. He's learned a lot from these kids. He's a full-fledged phantom thief now. Now it's his turn to show what he's learned and apply it to to a monarch. I thought that's what the role the commissioner was going to serve. But then she just never got a jail, and I was like, that's such a shame. That would have been a great way to, show off Zenkichi even more. And that's just because I love him so much and I want more.
I was having thoughts about that with the guy who ran over Zenkichi's wife. Like, I like how they handled his...
the politician.
Yeah, I like how they handled his comeuppance in the final movie, but it is kind of weird of, like, he's in it not enough for it to really feel like a big deal. Kind of going back to, I think, what Demicro said, of, like, they definitely could have focused on the mom's death, but I think the more you focused on the mom's death, the more chance there was to be bringing it up to Futaba's mom passing away. Although I will say, a really big missed opportunity to not have a moment in the story, especially as we've learned today, since Futaba has like no real story to talk about. Like, really big missed opportunity to not have a moment between Akane and Futaba talking about both of their moms passing away.
I know. I fully expected Futaba to speak up, like in that scene where Makoto's talking to Akane about, like, hey, you should value your dad, while he's still here, because, her own dad was a cop, she lost him, and that's kind of her chance to shine, except it's like relate her experiences to another character in this game, except it's not to a... Well, it is to a monarch, actually. It was before she came on home. Oh, I just put that together. That was kind of her chance to apply what she has learned from the first game to this. I fully expected Futaba to step in after that, but she didn't. Which is a shame, because I really liked that scene with Makoto there. It's kind of her best scene in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a nice kind of moment for her to pop off there. So it's really weird they didn't bring that up. Although, very odd aside, I will mention... And I've been thinking about this because I've been reading the P5 manga. Why does the game never, or not even the game, why does the lore just never answer the fact of who Futaba's dad is? Like, Wakaba is not the type who would just, like, get pregnant, I feel like. And what's funny is because, like, they explicitly tell us it's not Sojiro. But it's like, who else would have had this relationship with her?
I have no idea, but I do have something funny to say. When Royal was first coming out, I was convinced Maruki was gonna be her dad.
Oh my god. That would have been really, really funny.
But to piggyback, it's like, not to the commissioner, but to the politician. I'm gonna be honest, the politician is the SIU of Strikers. He serves no purpose. 100%. He's just there.
100%. It's like, we did not need you along with Akira. Like, you could have just had it be one person. Like, you add nothing to the story, sir.
Yeah, he's easily the most forgettable face. I don't even know why he has a sprite.
Oh my gosh. Well, Mirth, thank you for waiting so long and thankfully not being at work and coming through. We've got a couple more people coming on, but before we get you out of here, what is a game you want to recommend to everybody?
I don't personally have a recommendation, but I do have a recommendation from a friend. They have been bugging me nonstop to check out this visual novel called Umineko When They Cry. They have, and I quote, say, my life is lesser for not having this game in it. So it's probably great. Highly recommend it.
I have heard of that game. I think it's only on PC, correct?
Yeah, it's on Steam right now. Apparently, the Steam version isn't the best version because it doesn't have the Japanese voice acting, but I mean, you can always mod it in.
That's true. All right, well, we'll appreciate you coming on. I have special guest and probably final special guest coming up next, and then we will do Schmitty, and then Chiaki Fanami 58 will wrap us out unless anyone else pops into the Discord call. But yes, final secret guest time. About to reveal his D-cup boobas if they're not too busy playing. Alright, here we go. Number 1 Genshin Impact fan. How's it going?
Dude, it's been dandy. I'm like in a state between wide awake and dead tired, so we'll see how that translates.
Ozzy, you know what's funny? You've not been on the channel in a really long time.
I've been like, I'd say last year it was basically like a weekly to bi-weekly habit of just, going on Spencer's channel, and then I'd say November onwards, it's just been a drought.
I canceled you. That's what happened. I canceled you.
Exactly.
But no, Ozzy finally back. You're no longer in productivity jail, although you might still kind of be in your own sense. But you're here to talk about your... Oh, I'm going to think about this if this is accurate. Was Strikers your first Persona spinoff?
Was it?
I'm thinking because you're a baby fan. I don't think you've played any of the others before this.
I definitely had extensive knowledge of all of... No, okay, I definitely played Arena beforehand. I played Arena Ultimax. I knew everything about the spin-offs, but, like, actually hands-on, I guess this is the first one that I bought, owned a copy, and then played all the way through.
Now, before
I still have that copy. I do have that copy of Q2 that I bought, like, way back that I still have not started.
The Gamefly copy. The GOAT copy.
Exactly.
Man,
as you were saying, though.
But no, so... Thinking about this, because I wanted to, like, pick your brain with this. You and me both reviewed this, and I'm curious for you, since your review, like, how much have you thought about this game kind of since? Because I think it's very common for a lot of people after covering something for your channel or writing it in general of, like, like Caligula 2. I loved playing Caligula 2 in the moment. I've not thought about it since, like, October. Whereas, like, I think about this game a lot. Whether it be, like, things I liked, things I wanted to see more of, or other different aspects and stuff like that. So for you, how much have you really thought about Strikers over, the last year?
I do wish I kind of, like... It's one of those games that it's not constantly on my mind, but, like, someone will mention something offhand about Strikers. It's, like, something about Zenkichi or Sophia... or, like, something about the gameplay or the villains, and it'll just take me right back and just like, the vortex of, like, I feel like this game is very much taken for granted in the community. There is so much good in here. It's definitely not flawless. I definitely think there's a lot of things that could be improved on, but, like, it's just one of those that you get me in, like, one thought, and then my brain is just, like, systematically like, dude, remember when the game did this, or, like, use this character in this way, or how the combat... it's a good game. I like this one.
So, for you, who I think spends... It rattles the line between I'm concerned for you and I'm impressed at the same time of how much you love Persona 5. Where do you kind of hold it in that echelon of... I love Persona 5 because of XYZ feature, and Strikers does or does not have this. Because I don't think any people else out there like me, I think this is better than P5. So I wonder for someone like you who, like, thinks, like, P5 is, like, the be-all, end-all Atlas game, like, do you hold this to almost a higher regard than if it was just even, like, P4 Strikers or whatever? Like, for you, like, what is that kind of like, considering how much you love its source material?
I mean, ultimately, like, a lot of these games I am, I guess, taking at the value they're presented. I have a lot of personal attachment with P5, but, like, that came from somewhere. So with this game, I think obviously there's that bias that comes with it, me already caring about P5, but even on top of that, I just think how they present the story and characters in like particular, it's just really fun. And just kind of like with that, like I guess comparing it to P5, I think my brother, he personally thinks that it's better than vanilla, but not better than Royal. And I think this game is about on par with vanilla. I don't have it in the same level of, I guess, personal love, but it is very close. And again, it's one of those things where like I don't think about it as often, but whenever it does come to mind, I just think of it accomplishes very different things than like mainline Persona, but the elements it takes with it and the new things it strives for, like I love Warriors games as well. We've talked endlessly about like Hyrule Warriors and stuff like that. So it's just like two different things I already loved being mashed together in a very effective way.
So now I'm gonna be really mean to you, and we're gonna play Judge, Jury, and Executioner with cutting up Persona 5 story, and for convenience sake, we'll just say Royal or Strikers. What is the better story overall in your opinion, Royals or Striker?
I think Strikers is more consistent, but I think Royal very often peaks higher.
Better music.
That's very you know what? Exact same thing.
What?
I can use the exact same argument. I think Striker, except I can't say that I can definitively say that Royal has a better one, but Strikers is more consistent. I have more songs from Royal because it's a much bigger soundtrack. I have more tracks from Royal that specifically I'm like, this is like top tier, top tier, top tier. But if I'm looking at the soundtrack as a whole, I actually would say Strikers has the better one.
We should do like
But
we should do a bullshit music tier list together. I would be very curious. You and me, when Royal and Strikers gets added to Apple Music and Spotify next month, we should go track by track and see where we tier and where the whole like track list lands.
That would be fun, honestly. I'll friggin'
because they're so different. Like I forgot who mentioned it, but it's like the tone and the energy in both scores. Obviously, they're different composers. They're so different. Ooh, here's an easier one. Well, maybe easier one. Better casual wear.
Strikers' outfits are like unparalleled.
I'm just thinking Yusuke drip. All I'm thinking is Yusuke with the sick coat.
Yusuke's outfit is awesome. Haru's is great. I really like Joker's just like simple little polo.
Can we talk about Makoto with the world's tiniest leather jacket? Like it literally couldn't close. Like that jacket could not close on her chest.
I don't know what she's going for. I think college changed her, but we'll let it slide. She seems comfortable somehow.
Better voice performance.
I mean, there's not a huge difference in quality, I'd say, between them. I think the audio mixing itself early on in Strikers was a little weird.
I would say for this, not counting production standards, more just voice acting. Because, like, for me, I think there's more bad voice acting in P5, probably due to the fact that there's more characters voiced.
You know what? I'll give you that solely on the fact that Strikers has nowhere near as much of the background character syndrome for Atlas games, where they all sound like something from an abridged series.
Yo, this Kamachi's bitch. Can't talk to her.
That's still the greatest line in that entire game.
Someone got paid to write that line and then read that line. That's the worst part about that line.
Yeah.
And then
yeah, they sure did.
What is the most graphically impressive one? That'll be the final one.
Oh crap. Okay, because there's some things with Strikers where I think the lighting is very like it doesn't flow as perfectly as something like I think P5 does, and like P5 especially Royal, like they run with the style a lot more. But when Strikers hits, especially in the 60 FPS, it really hits. I think I'll still say Royal, but it's Strikers 60 FPS. If you haven't experienced that, is like a whole different level, people.
So the last thing I want to ask you, unless you want to just ramble about anything else,
Mhm.
I feel like when it came to P5 fans jumping to Royal, I don't know any P5 fans who didn't play Royal, whereas I still feel like there is some holdout to Strikers just because it is more different. So for you, I would say if you were talking to somebody, or like even like, what do you think you would sell a Persona 5 fan who's never played an action RPG on Strikers yourself? Because I feel like it's one of those things that it's like, if you even remotely like this cast in this world, you like it's a must play. Like, you can miss the dancing games, you can miss Q2, but like if you miss this, then that blows my mind.
I quickly will add to kind of your point about like people holding out on this game. It was really weird that when the game released, it felt like everyone was playing it, like everyone who had any form of interest was playing this game. It had this really neat community at the start, and then everyone just stopped talking about it for months, and then all of a sudden, I just randomly see people like being like, "Haha, hey, I'm playing through this game now," and it's like, yeah, no, this is super underrated game, like it's really good. Like people who don't talk about it, I'm like, yeah, what happened? Like when did this become an underrated title?
I think the thing about Strikers that did not do it any favors, and we've not actually really talked about this because this is more just kind of talking about the game. Atlas somehow found a way to release this game within 2 months of announcing it, to its detriment. I think it had so little time to be excited and anticipated after like being waited on for so long that it was like, yeah, new Persona, a year late.
It would I'm not saying it's comparable in like I guess the scale of what the announcement is, but like this game is basically a mainline Persona, so it gives me the same energy of if tomorrow Atlas is just like Persona 6 is coming in 2 months.
Would you say this is fair? I feel like we're in this case again with another Game Awards announcement to quick release. I believe as soon as Ultimax is out, outside of people like me playing it, no one in the casual world will talk about it. Like, it'll be instantly forgotten once it's released.
Yep, I agree. I'm excited for that game. I think that game plays phenomenally. I love so much about that game. People who think that it's gonna be something that like is going to appeal to people outside of Persona or like people deep into the fighting game community, it's not. It's just gonna be like, okay,
they've already sowed their fate. They could have had it be that game, but it's not going to be that game.
You know what? Maybe we're gonna get the people who are like world's most hardcore BB Tag fans are finally gonna jump in.
Did I tell you I finally actually played Cross Tag Battle?
Oh, how'd you like it?
So you've played it, correct?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
I had no idea. I thought the people were memeing on it. I cannot believe that game is legitimately a 2-button fighter.
It is not great. It is very strange, but it's funny.
Not bad, but I was coming at it from the perspective of playing it with friends with a lot of alcohol. So it was like...
I mean, that's the perfect way to experience that game, honestly. It's a very cracked out, just let's be stupid and fight each other game.
I'm excited to cover it. I don't know when I will. It might be like a... God, I have very little time now that I think about it, because February's fucking insane for games.
Yeah.
March might be chill. Like, the only thing I'm thinking of in March, I feel like I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to think of like 9 other games. No, there's Kirby, Gran Turismo, along with Ultimax. Yeah, there's probably like 9 other games I'm forgetting about in March. But at some point, I'll jump into Cross Tag and like buy my copy and like give it a real pace through the ringer. But it is one of those things that it's like, I even after playing it, I'm like, I would still never recommend this to somebody unless you had like multiple asterisks.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Dibby Crow with the weirdest comment, although
No, I saw that. I don't want to talk about it.
Cross Tag Battle is the Smash Brothers Brawl of Blaze Blue.
That is such a disservice to Brawl.
That's a loaded statement if I've ever heard one before, but that's a choice.
I understand what it's trying to say, but that is so misguided in what you think
Did they just replace tripping with Ruby characters?
Oh, that okay. Sorry, I feel like this needs saying. I don't want this to be the freaking cross tag like stream because I still need to answer your question. I might add.
That's true.
But they launched that game with 2 Ruby characters.
Oh no, they launched it with all 4.
No, they did not. I promise you.
Are you sure?
I swear, like maybe I'm wrong.
I'm looking this up now. I know they announced it with one Ruby character. Now, my question for you is: did you buy this at launch?
I played the beta, and then my friends all got it at launch, and then I got it way later, and I was like, oh.
That was one of those games. I've never been more confident not telling. I mean, I've never been more confident telling someone to not pick up a game at launch. Like I remember when Cross Tag Battle came up, I was like, you know what, you can hold out on that one. You don't need that one. Like think about it like this, like that game feels like a bunch of license holders like giving Arc System Works like a pass. Like, because like there's a lot of actually really interesting work that went into it. Like the fact that they have all English voice acting and none of it's reused is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like all the new 2D art is amazing, but like everything else is just recycled, and it's so weird. Of like Atlas signed off on this, and it's probably like the worst Persona related like thing they've signed off on. That's not like a mobile game.
It is quite literally a Frankenstein's monster of a fighting game
with way too much DLC.
There's an appeal, yeah, and there's an appeal in seeing like the monstrosity at work and how it functions, and trying to understand how to move and how to speak. But ultimately, I think you just need to kill it. I think you need to set it on fire.
No fucking way. You are correct. The game launched with Ruby and Weiss as the only Ruby characters. That's insane. Although, to be fair, Blake and Yang were added as free DLC characters, but...
Why would you launch... That was the only 2 unique characters to that game, and it's for Ruby, where the title of the show is literally the 4 main characters.
So what you're saying is Cross Tag Battle shouldn't have said featuring Ruby, should have just said featuring Rue.
Yes! Oh my gosh, that... again, burn it with fire. I don't need this in my life.
Oh my god.
I bought the DLC for that game for some reason, on pure impulse.
Both seasons?
That was the worst purchase I've made in my life.
I don't know, you've made a lot of sus purchases.
No, I agree. That means I'm saying this with full assurity.
Although I'm also someone who's bought all of the DLC in Persona 5 Royal, so I'm not one to talk.
I've called that out as one of my worst purchasing decisions. I think this floors it. Because at least I used the content in Royal's DLC as much as possible.
Well, I think after 9 years, would you like to make your point as to non-believers of Strikers, why they should start striking?
No. So Persona 5 Strikers, obviously, like, I just feel like on a base point, easiest thing, if you like the cast of P5, at least the majority, that already is just free reign enough to just jump into it and see how it, like, feels. Because they are at their, first of all, easily funniest they've been, but they do still have a lot of heart to them that I think is really just comforting. And, like, they do a lot with it, like, especially, like, Haru gets a lot to her. They do a good amount with Yusuke on Makoto. Even Morgana and Ryuji get their little moments.
No. I'll give you Ryuji has, like, a little moment. We had this talk. Name one moment Morgana had any importance in the story.
He got a moment with Ryuji. And that's it.
That's the gimmiest of gimmies, but I'll give it to you.
Also, no, I'll give that. I'll also say one thing I do really like is you have the little side quest where you get the little vacation photos, and I liked him just being very sweet and being like, "I'm just gonna get on some ice cream." Like it's just like small touches like that, like character things. It's like this does just run with them, just being a group of friends on their funny vacation.
I will say
That's
this:
just what they want to do.
the guy who got his balls crushed by Alice had more character development than Morgana in this entire game.
This is kind of a tangent. I don't get this. There are a shocking amount of people who insist that Morgana is better in Strikers than in Vanilla P5.
I mean, it's of equal quality. I would say, if anything... I mean, why, I guess?
I don't know. Like, I think it literally is just because he doesn't do much in particular, and so they're like, I'm fine with his base personality and his presence. And I'm like, do you just not like that he goes through an arc in the original game? Because I guess here he's just like he's less arrogant.
Yeah, I mean, there's less Morgana moments, trademark Morgana moments, but...
And I just, like, the amount of people I've seen being like, he was like, this game like redeemed him, he's so much better. I'm like, what did Morgana do that like specifically made this stick out to you as like a huge point?
Also, Ozzy, your number one fan, Senorish, is in the chat saying you're very handsome. You've got thick thighs and supple man buns.
That's awesome.
As a fellow friend telling another friend, I gotta let you know. Now, actually, since Senorish is here, that does pull into my last question I wanted to ask you before I let you go. You did a ranking with Michelle, correct?
Yeah.
That was just of the palaces, though, right?
The jails, yes.
Yeah, whatever. Tomato, tomato.
Also, Demicro, I have been to the Nick Hotel.
I would only respect it more if you were recording this in the Nickelodeon Hotel. My complaint with the Cartoon Network. You know, this is funny. I've been to the Cartoon Network Hotel. I've not been to the Nick Hotel. The Cartoon Network Hotel, and I think the Nick one also suffers from this. They feel like a normal hotel with Cartoon Network / Nickelodeon wallpaper. They don't feel like a Disneyland hotel experience.
I agree for the most part. Before you go on with what you're gonna say, I do have a slight Nick Hotel tangent.
Please.
We had a
Sweet Life of Zach. We had a Sweet Life of Zach and Cody tangent. I can't disagree to other tangents.
Yeah. No, but so we had what is it? Yeah, so that place is gone. Nick Hotel is just deleted. But I went there, I think for my birthday when I was like 7.
Like what?
Something
2
like
years
that.
Ago?
Yeah. And I am almost certain, as weird and like almost egocentric as it sounds to put it this way, I'm pretty sure we forever ruined the water slides there, me and my family. Because in the center of the hotel, they had this big water park area that had like a huge tower of like different slides that like everyone would run up, and they'd have different pathways to take to get to different ones. And at the very top, there was this big old slide that spiraled all the way around, was like super crazy. And there was no like line or anything. You would just run up at your own pace without much supervision, and people would just rush down. Well, my family, being a bunch of insane Hispanic youngings, they're like, okay, so what we're going to do, we're all just going to ride the slide as incorrectly as possible in bulk. So there was just like 6 to 7 kids just sliding down it like penguins, or like somersaulting down the slide. And I think the staff got forever pissed, because from that day forward and for the rest of time I've seen there, until it got closed, they had the strictest, longest lines ever on those slides.
Now my thing is this: was there any incorporation of the slime? Because you can't have Nickelodeon without the slime.
There was a big old bucket right next to the slide that it didn't have slime, but it had green water, and like occasionally it would dump on people. So close enough.
I'm so glad you had an actual story to that. And fellow person waiting in the wings, Schmitty is a fellow Nick Hotel connoisseur, so this will not be the last time the Nick Hotel comes up on the podcast.
Gotta love it.
So my actual last question for you, besides the Nick Hotel tangent, which you have way more to say because I at least didn't ruin the Cartoon Network Hotel.
Yeah.
You've ranked the jails. So my last question for you is this: Who was the best boss, though? Not boss fight, not boss design, not boss story. When you think of who was the best boss or villain, whatever one you want to pick, who sticks out
Just
to your mind
like
as the best?
all encompassing.
Yes.
Ah, crap. That's hard. I think. Because I really like. I mean, we don't have to worry about spoilers, I assume.
No, this
Friggin-
is the spoiler
yeah.
talk.
Yeah, why am I for Ichinose? She's good. She's really good.
Really?
I don't know. No, that's not my pick. That's not my pick.
Oh, okay. It's like out of everybody, Ichinose?
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know why freaking Kanoe works as well as he does. But, like, his incorporation, despite the brevity, I was just like, this is one of the coolest things they pulled in this series. Like, we have not had a ton of him, but his effect is palpable.
What was half of that about the story, or would that have been like also his like boss fighter design? Because Akira's also my favorite, and a lot of that is because I really liked his backstory. I'm a sucker for Sentai, and also I'm a sucker for good two-phase boss fights, and he is still probably my favorite boss fight in the whole game. Also,
that's the thing. I think his entire
how is Michelle's choice unironically Kanoe? Where are we just all on the same side? Like, is this just a thing that everyone's just like, it's unironically Tony Stark?
Yeah, no, like because it's the mix of his backstory, which is really effective and like brings up a lot of some of the most interesting philosophy we've had with the Phantom Thieves ever, mixed with a sick two-phase boss fight. It gives us Counter-Strike with like one of the best shots in the series of him just walking out of the wreckage in flames. From giant to just running around like a maniac on the ground. And it just works. It should not work as well as it does, but it does. I like it.
It was just the double whammy of looks cool, fun fight, nothing annoying about it, and banger soundtrack.
Like, I mean this with full sincerity. Give me the highest quality figure of any Phantom Thief you could possibly imagine. That'd be awesome. I would take in a heartbeat if instead of that you gave me a figure of Zephyrman. I would take that in a heartbeat over any Phantom Thief.
That would be so specific. But again, I'll take Zephyrman over fucking Pandora's Box figure any day.
Yeah, no, I heard you mention that with Gab. I don't even think it's like an underwhelming design. I think it's just a bad one.
Yeah, which is funny. Like normally, like because like I think we saw this a lot with like SMT5. When I was like, if you're someone who like looked at Idun or so let's say maybe like one of like the like Bethel like people or whatever. Like if you're someone who like looked at the new designs at SMT5 and you're like, these are bad. I'm like, no, they're not. Like there's no design in SMT5 that's like visually like upsettingly bad. Whereas like there's a lady with her head in a box and not even in a cool way. Like she has no cool outfit, she has no cool voice. It's just one of those funny things of like that's just like universally we can all agree is like probably the worst Persona design, and for no reason, because like it was made by the Persona team.
Well, because the thing that gets me is in every Persona game, like P1 to P5, every Persona, regardless of the quality of their design, it feels very distinct and very intricately detailed to where you see they're at least trying to reflect something about the character or whatever they're doing. Pandora, like, especially comparing it to like regular SMT demons who are trying to reflect more on like the actual mythos, Pandora feels like a lower mid-tier SMT demon.
Like, let's just be honest. They blew their budget getting the rights to Les Miserables, and they were like, "Fuck, what do we got to do with the other girl? I give put her in a box."
Valjean has such a good design.
They blew their
awesome
load on
Persona
him. They
design.
blew their load on him.
I'll take it. I love Zenkichi. He's like top tier. And
I hope
like,
everyone
Sophia
watching
has
this
such
live
a
knows.
good awakening.
I'm drafting this tweet right now. Once it's morning time tomorrow, I'm just gonna post it and be like, "We can all universally agree that Pandora is the worst Persona design," and I will be amazed if one person replies to that, like being like, "Oh, I love the design."
The only ones I can think of that rival it on that level is like, I forget which ones. Some of the P3 personas I think are like a little ugly, but I don't think it just gets this bland.
Ozzy, I want you to just type this into Google. I'm going to do it right now just to make sure this is correct. Persona 3 Artemis.
Alright, let me see.
And I want you to look at Persona 3 Artemis and tell me that that's a great design.
P3 Artemis?
Yeah, but in Persona 3 Artemis, that is probably my least favorite Persona 3 Persona design, and even that is literally Tupperware tits and vagina, and that's better design than Pandora. So
all I'm getting is P2.
If you type, I literally have this in Persona 3. I'm going to copy and paste it. God damn it. But Persona 3 Artemis is literally just wearing Tupperware on her head, boobs, and vagina.
I see it. I see it.
That's as bad as I thought we could get before this. And then it was like,
Pandora's just boring. It's literally just like Lilith wearing
a box. But that still is more creative, like that's still more creatively interesting than Pandora, though. Like even that, that has more unique because it's still the anatomy of a woman. It
says something.
Yeah. you know. Here's a weird one because I'm gonna look at this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Persona 5, Pandora. I don't even think because maybe I'm being hard. Even the fact that
to put in perspective real quick, her not persona beforehand
in everything underneath in the actual concept, but in the game for Pandora, it's literally just a black sports bra. And then Adam left out of disgust. He said, "This is too much. I can't deal with you anymore." It might be me. Could be me. We'll find out. I was doing too much Googling for Persona 5. Let's see if the live stream's still going on. Yeah, live stream is still going on. Alright, well, I don't know what happened to... Oh. Yeah, he messaged me? Let's find out. Here, let's chill on the stream for a minute. Let's pause our thing here. See if we've melted or whatever. Spencer explodes. Here, I will pop out and then pop back in. There you go. Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you are.
I think that was actually just Discord. I had an excellent connection quality the whole time. That was really weird.
Yeah, it was weird.
But no, so where I was cutting out, I was even just that tiny little thing of having some fan service in her design would have made it a little bit better, whereas it just looks like I said she's just wearing a weird sports bra. I will say this just to be a little bit nice. I do like that Pandora at least has I don't know how to describe it. The hands and feet are segmented, there's little floaty bits.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I can say for it, though.
I find it funny, and I feel like specifically referring to it this way is strange, but I think you'll get what I mean. So there are a lot of designs where I guess you take it where it's like, okay, we want to get to this point, and so we're gonna work backwards from there, right?
Hmm?
I think her design, by that same logic, is genuinely, we did start from the first one, and then we're trying really hard to figure out how to go forward, because we're like, yeah, we have this cool idea of the jar's gonna open, and it's gonna transform into a woman. Okay, so what happens when the jar opens?
Oh my god, you know what it should have been? This would have instantly
Mhm.
made Pandora more hilarious. It's just a woman in a box, but the box is see-through. That's her thing. Like she's like when you do the Great Fairy with Link in Hyrule Warriors, where Link's in the bottle.
Oh
Like
my
that would
gosh.
be it. Sophie would be like in like a little see-through box, and you gonna just control this giant woman. That would be the only way it would like redeem itself.
We're gonna have this giant woman just chasing Sophia down, trying to murder her the entire time.
Well, I'm glad we could end your segment so positively. But Ozzy, where can people learn about Persona 1 with you this year?
Oh, in hell. Or on YouTube at youtube.com/c/Oziak. If you feel like it, maybe.
They'll do it.
That video, I'm actually not procrastinating, and things are getting done. It's crazy.
I heard a rumor that you would have been done if it wasn't for this podcast.
That's true. Actually, no. I was playing Great Ace Attorney.
Okay, never mind then. That's funny. You're the second person tonight who was playing an Ace Attorney game. Someone was playing Apollo Justice earlier.
Ooh. Neato.
Well,
Not as good, but still neat.
Damn. I mean, you're not wrong, but damn. So our tradition has been everyone has to recommend a game. So what is a game you are not on record for recommending people play?
Great Ace Attorney.
Someone's already beat you to it. They recommended that last time.
Okay, well, y'all suck. Hey, you guys should play this awesome game called Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga when it releases on April 14th.
I need your thoughts on this. I don't know if you saw this. Dibby Crow, I think this was a super chat earlier. Dibby Crow was like, I canceled my pre-order. No, I guess because you couldn't have canceled it at the time. Dibby Crow chose Lego Star Wars instead of Ultimax, and I'm like, that's not wrong. Like, that's not the wrong choice.
That's a very...
But like,
okay.
what do you tell someone who does that?
Okay, if I was actually like on a tight budget around that season, and I had to choose,
tell me you're not gonna be broke in 2 months. I dare you.
We'll see what happens. I would not even have hesitated to not purchase Ultimax because the game's awesome. I'm still getting it. Actually, someone bought it for me. I didn't even have to do that. They just did it on a whim. I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah, but then you have to play it on PC and the keyboards.
Listen, I want to play my phony Lego Star Wars game on my PlayStation 5 and sit there for like a week straight to 2 weeks and not think about anything
Real question,
else.
when is Persona getting a Lego set? I unironically am wondering that now.
That would be neat. I feel like something being rated M hasn't necessarily stopped Lego.
Overwatch.
I just wonder where they'd start.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, they would probably just do a Lego idea set, and it would just be a really lame, like, it would just be build Morgana in a car, and then there's, like, 3 of the Phantom Thieves.
In the reality where Lego Dimensions did not fail, it probably would have happened already. Lego Dimensions kind of deserved to fail, but it had a lot of cool stuff in it.
That's a weird one, but I mean, yeah, like Lego Dimensions. As a big Toys to Life defender, I had zero FOMO for not playing any Lego Dimensions. I was like, I'm okay with that.
My little brother
DHI
did it. I
Hollow.
tried it. And
Unironically, a Tartarus set would fuck really hard. Imagine a giant ass green tower built of Legos.
Legit, just give me like one of those like Death Star, like those giant model Death Stars, but just give me that for Tartarus.
That would fuck really hard. That's actually like, that's a good idea.
Just let me make like all of Mementos, and you just like give me
Oh
pieces of
Jesus,
like other.
no! That's dumb. That's also just asking for trouble. There's structural integrity to Tartarus. There's no structural integrity to Memento Depths.
You think Legos have structural integrity?
That's true. I have seen the Spider-Man home trilogy. They break a lot of Legos in those movies.
That's true. You know, on a side tangent, without getting too much into it, just very quick, how'd you feel about No Way Home?
We've talked about this. It's amazing. What do you mean?
Did
How do I
we?
feel about it? Yes, I know. It's only been a month. It's not like we've not talked in like 9 years.
I don't know. I'm stuck in my little vortex of pain.
Ooh, man, this is like a $1 billion idea. Lego size casino would be good. Like just a big, fun little, and like you could open it up, and there's like the 3 mini games you can play. That'd be good.
I think I need to not lose all my money to the Lego company, please.
I got one last Lego suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
A Lego Velvet Room could be pretty easy and affordable.
Yeah, that'd be a good go-to, and like, if they're fancy, nice people, they can give some variation where you can get some of the like,
car. Get
yeah,
an
you can get the
actual
car. Oh man,
this is a danger. You know
that would be cool. Just a big limo, and then you can remove the ceiling from it.
Damn. Okay, we've got to stop talking about this. We're giving the Lego company too many ideas.
All right. Oh my gosh, I've been here for 40 minutes.
Jesus H Christ. Well, special guest, thank you for being my special guest, and tell everyone where they can follow you again.
Oziak. YouTube.
And OnlyFans? Only Oz? Aussie fans?
You can ask Michelle about that. She'll set it up.
That's probably feet pics. Feet pics with Aussie.
I don't think I have feet.
I think when you look down, it's actually just Isaac's like little nubs. Like, you know how he doesn't actually have like hands and feet. I think that's just what your feet look like.
Yeah, I think I'm just channeling too much of that kid in me.
Jesus. Goodbye, man.
All right, see you, dude. Woo.
All right. That went way too long, but all of our awesome guests are awesome and very, very patient, apparently. So our next guest is fellow Nickelodeon. Looks like you're in another voice channel. I'm okay with that. All right, Schmitty with the schmoo and the schmoes. Hop on in here. What do you think of Persona 5 Strikers?
I was just gonna say, I mean, my connection might not be good. I'm just talking from the Lego Hotel, or not the
Legoland.
Hotel. Yeah, Legoland Hotel. I like Strikers, but honestly, I'm not sure what people are saying with the like day one frame drops. I didn't really have that, but maybe I just didn't know I got the patched version.
To be fair,
not
did
sure.
you play the JP one or American one?
American.
So yeah, and when we were talking about that before with Demikuro had played the JP one. So by the time the American version came out, that was a year's worth of there were like 4 patches in the American one at launch.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought Strikers was a lot more consistent than like original P5, but I feel like I still enjoyed the original more.
Interesting.
But I don't know, it could just be the fact that like P5, I don't want to like sound like cheesy, but it kind of felt like it got me back into gaming in a sense, I guess. I mean, I played games before, but like P5 was all right. I'm gonna start here, and JRPGs are like where I'm gonna like start. I'm gonna like do a bunch of JRPGs. P5 was the start. Then I played Golden. I'm working my way through Fez, and then I need to finish 2 at some point. And then I played a decent amount of SMT games. But I don't finish games, so I have like maybe 20 hours in all of them. And none of them are finished except 4. So that's fun.
So for you, as someone who's then kind of coming off that, is there anything that you kind of wish Strikers did that you would have enjoyed it a little bit more?
I'd say try to be more, I guess experimental in a sense. because it did feel like they wanted to play it safe by keeping the pretty much the same story beats as the first one, and kind of build upon those characters. Didn't really feel like it tried to do anything new. Just felt like we know what works and we'll just stick with that, which is fine because it works.
No,
but I just wish
definitely.
they kind of did more stuff with it.
And for you then, since I'm assuming it had been a while for you, is this like a game that you kind of look back on, or had you kind of fallen into the camp of forgot about it after completing it?
I wouldn't say I forgot about it and completing it, because there are multiple times where I'm trying to I'm trying to get all versions of it. So I have the Switch version. I was gonna get the PS4 version, but it came out on PS Plus, so I just decided to go with that. But no, I thoroughly think about this game. I really love this game, though. Not as good. I think it's better than 5. Not as good as Royal, though.
Okay, definitely.
I feel like that's a sentiment a lot of people think, though.
We've not done a lot of numbers, so I'll let you be the harsh number critic then. What do you number 5 vanilla, Royal, and Strikers then, on a scale of 1 to 10?
Now I gotta be the number guy. I'd say looking back on it, 5. Let me actually see. I'd say 5 would probably be a 9 now. Strikers is a 9.5, and then Royal's an 11.
The elusive 11 out of 10. I appreciate it. One of these days, I'll like do an Inception dream dive and understand why my brain just doesn't. My brain will never look at Persona 5 as a 10 out of 10. It's one of those funny things of like, I love Persona 5 as a world, but as an overall experience, it is so funny to me of how I could never I don't think I could ever push it past 8 at like best.
Okay, I'm done here. I'm just kidding. No, I can see that. There are moments to where it can feel kind of dumb and not very good. I wouldn't say the elephant in the room. It's like, the entire Okumura arc is still terrible, even in Royal.
Yeah.
But I think Royal's third semester pretty much makes up for all of Vanilla's shortcomings. At least to me.
See, it's one of those things where it definitely makes up for its shortcomings, but you have to still play that same game to get past those shortcomings. So it's like, hey, have you seen Citizen Kane? Yeah, I didn't like it. Well, good news, there's a post-credit scene that's the best part of the movie. It's like,
oh crap, I just finished it. I gotta watch it again.
Exactly. There's no fast-forward button for Citizen Kane. It's a mandatory having to watch it all.
Yeah. I do find it, like, off on a tangent, I find it really strange that people can speedrun P5. Let me actually see how fast people can speedrun this game in. Because I know it's shorter than I think it is. Speedrun for this game is 15 hours, and I'm very surprised people can get it done in that amount of time.
You mean for Royal?
For Original 5. My guess is Royal would be shorter because the game is a lot easier, so you can just start through the whole thing.
True.
Like, auto battle through the whole thing, which I think is probably one of my biggest downsides of Royal.
I was
easy the game is.
surprised how doable the world record for Strikers was, which is why I've been oddly interested in doing it on like my days off. I was like, I don't know, dude. All I gotta do is just beat it in like 4 hours. That seems pretty doable if I just skip everything.
There's also the problem, though. If you die, you kind of have to restart the whole run.
How so?
Again, it's only 4 hours, so it should be good.
Well, I guess how come I'd have to restart it though?
Well, if you're gonna try to beat 4 hours, I'd be very surprised.
Oh,
I feel like
everyone
who
would
did
be one
that.
of those things where I would be very happy with second or third place because like there are literally like 14 people who are running the game in speedruns. Like it's a low bar, but it'd be like I'm the Guinness Book of World Records for the thing you don't ever want to actually win.
Hey, think on the bright side, you'd make it in the top 20.
See, I'm like thinking of like I'm gonna try like tonight. I'm gonna look through the most specific category to like think about it. It'll be like new game plus normal. Like I'm gonna look for a run like category no one's done, so I can be like, all right, guys, here you go.
That'd be interesting. I'm trying to think of something that could do that.
Because there is a lot
Yep.
of different things like to do for it, whether it be, oh god, I definitely would never do 100% speed run, but like an any percent like pretty low level or even like limit speed run could be pretty interesting.
Ooh, any percent character only, so no one else is in your party. It's just Joker.
That is true, but then I have to wonder then how much more that would elongate the playtime on top of how much more time I would have to spend healing myself since I'd be the only one.
Yeah, and then actually, I don't think it. I mean, if you want to get technical, it wouldn't be possible because of the final boss.
That
I
also
still
true.
love the final boss. It's so good.
Well, Shmini, any last things? Any last final praise? Any last criticisms? Any last striker tidbits you want to throw out into the world?
I don't think so. I think the music is. I'm just saying stuff that's already been said. Music's very good. I think the characters in this one act like the best. I think if people thought like in original P5 the characters weren't friends, play Strikers. They act like the best friends you could ever find.
Yeah, they definitely feel like way more actual. Like the bonds are there due to 5 in a way that 5 never. Almost, I wouldn't say never. I would say like by the time you're in the 3rd semester, they definitely feel like a team. But like they always feel like a group of friends, like a really tight knit group of friends in Strikers always, which is what you want.
Yeah.
Well, you will have to keep the tradition going. I almost forgot. What is your game recommendation for everybody out there listening?
Tales of Arise.
Ooh,
That game, absolutely amazing. I just finished it a while ago. It's like another one of those games that gives me post-game depression because I still miss it. I loved pretty much everything about that game, and now I'm just playing Berseria at the moment. I'm just gonna try to go on a Tales.
really?
binge.
You're hitting the best and one of the worst Tales games back to back. That's got to be whiplash.
I thought people liked Berseria.
Berseria is good only to the fact that I think the one before it was the worst. I think it was
Zestiria,
like Zestiria. I remember people always being like, "That's actively terrible."
I mean, Berseria, I don't. Coming off of Arise had some really fun combat, but Berseria's combat's very button mash feeling, and Tales of Arise felt more DMC, like pop them up in the air and keep them up as long as possible.
No, definitely.
Style of combat, and I really love that. But Berseria's combat's it's a lot more shallow, which, I mean, but the thing keeping me going is the characters. I really like the characters.
Okay. Awesome suggestion. Thanks again for waiting so long, man.
No problem.
All right, our second to last person, Chiaki Fanami, 58 Ami. If you're still here and not fall asleep at the keyboard, which I do not blame you, now's your time to shine. And let everyone know that Haru is not a big slow girl. She's actually a delectably good speed person.
Oh,
there we go.
Am I on?
You're on.
All right. Well, yeah, like you said, Chiaki is, of course, like I said, Chiaki is pretty much my favorite character. Like, you even referred to me as the hard simp.
Well, I mean, that is a title that is, that at least, unlike the King of Jack Bros, that's at least a title I know there would be people fighting for. There are many Haru lovers out there, so you know what? Actually, I could ask you this then, because I don't think I've asked you this specifically. How did you feel Haru's arc was handled with the Ice Quest?
I honestly enjoyed it because, like I said, I was really happy that Haru gets a lot of screen time in this game, whereas in the original Persona 5, she was like barely in it.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that, yeah.
Oh, what was that?
Oh, sorry, I was just agreeing with him.
No, you're good, man. But
Sorry
yeah,
about that. Yeah.
but yeah. So Marcus, like for you, because I think actually, well, last time we talked, were you still playing with it, or have you pushed through all the way to it now?
Um, I would. I'm still like currently. I'm like around the final dungeon. I do have a lot of hours, but since I got a new Switch, my hours got screwed over. So I don't know how much I put in the game so far.
Do you know where you left off with it?
I think it was like 10 hours in
I'm trying to
or
think.
so.
Probably. Are you at Okinawa yet? Probably, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Okay. And for you, like, have you been playing it primarily on handheld or TV?
On mainly handheld.
How's it held up? I've really only messed around with the demo and handheld mode. A lot of the time when I do play it, it's just on the TV. Like for you, have you like felt like it kind of holds up compared to like other like Switch games, or like what was the handheld experience for you?
It looked fine. It wasn't like cause it ran all right. It wasn't like Age of Calamity bad where where it ran poorly, but it ran all right from what I played so far. Just when you on handheld, the visuals do look a little rough.
I think I must just be like broken, especially just because like I've never held it against the game, but like I just don't look at the technical downcomings of Age of Calamity, and I don't put it against it because I'm like, it's such a weird game that I can't believe exists. That I'm like, it could run at like 5 frames a second, and I'd be like, I'm still having a blast. Like the game is so weird and dumb.
I mean, trust me, I think I unlocked the Great Fairy in that game, and boy, you could tell that that's when when you will see the slowdown.
Oh man. So for you, when it kind of comes to like playing this for, have you been playing it pretty like linearly, or have you been messing around with many of the requests at all?
I honestly have not done any of the side quests. I didn't even know there was side quests to do at all. Because I assumed it was like when I beat the Kiri Pamu Pamu girl, it just went straight. I was assuming it would be like the other game, like original P5, where you could just relax and do free time with everyone, and I assumed that's what it would be like. But it just went straight, just kept going straight forward. So I assumed I didn't even know there were side quests till earlier today.
So like the side quests are interesting because like I completely ignored all of them in my initial playthrough when I was playing in Japanese. And you really don't have to. Like, you're never, like, under-leveled to a point. Like, so it's all very optional. The stuff is okay. There's actually some good writing in a lot of it, but it is one of those interesting things of it's probably the least forgettable. I guess, actually, it's probably the most forgettable side quests in a Persona game in a while, just because of how little it kind of is important to the narrative. But it does add a lot of good replay value, considering the fact that you can't really go back and kind of experience stuff for the first time, but you do still have all those palaces and jails and everything. So I would say it's one of those things that it's definitely worth checking out once you beat the game, but if you're not, like, super gung-ho about going through it, you definitely don't need to, like, slow down your playthrough and, like, check out every new side quest, because there's a lot.
Alright.
I'm trying to think. Anything that's, like, kind of stood out to you of, like, any like nitpicks, anything you feel like you don't ever like hear people kind of mention in terms of like, oh, that's kind of annoying, or oh, I don't really like that.
I would say mainly. Well, the one thing I did like was how I do like Zenkichi. He's a really good character, and I honestly do like how times when I think when he talks to Haru, he's a little freaked out by her because of the way she talks. And since we're in a spoiler cast, can I mention that one scene I really liked about Haru?
Oh yeah.
It was the scene where they were all driving, and then they basically said, "Don't let Haru drive," and then And then the fact that we now learn why she's not allowed to drive, and honestly did make me laugh.
You know what's funny? Everyone will make fun of this game for having two hot spring scenes. Shoutouts to Strikers for having 0 jokes about women being bad drivers. That would have been a very low-hanging fruit they could have done.
And I would say the one thing I was kind of annoyed by. It's honestly just that Zenkichi, he doesn't come playable till like halfway through the game, which is a little disappointing. Especially since he's advertised a lot throughout the game.
Yeah, it's a little too long. It makes sense story-wise, but yeah, definitely the gameplay suffered from like the fact that you have only really one unlockable character in the whole game, and it's for over half of the playthrough. But yeah, I mean, if there's anything else, man, feel free to rant that out. Otherwise, what is your game recommendation for everyone to go out and play or check out?
Well, it's funny because when you were mentioning about the horse, my sister, she jokingly referred to me as a Haru simp as well. Even she knows that I'm a big fan of Haru. She even told me about a figure that's coming out.
I'm trying to think which. Oh, it's the one that like just got announced, right?
Yeah, like for the royal figures.
Yeah, it was funny. I was just looking at the Figmas, and I thought it was so interesting how all the Figmas, there's no consistency with what they're from. Some are from Persona 5, some are from Persona 5 Royal, and some are from Persona 5 the animation, even though they're all just from Persona 5.
Yeah.
It's very, very weird.
And I would say, and for my game recommendation, I actually wanted to recommend this game to you during the visual novel panel, though I don't know if I would label it as a visual novel, but it kind of is. It was a game I got for my Switch because for my friends called Monster Prom. It's kind of fun. Yeah, I picked it up because there was a YouTuber I liked in on there. Fortunately, he's removed from the game because he did some bad things apparently.
Which person was removed from it?
His name was Cry. He played one of the characters in the game. Two, actually.
I'm trying to think about it. I'm trying to look this up.
But
I think Casey is in Monster Prom?
Yeah, Casey's in the game. She actually plays my favorite character in the game, this Eldritch girl who likes a lot of anime.
Oh,
stuff.
Zoe, yeah.
Yeah. I always like picking her out a lot, and I'm also looking forward to playing the camp game, which is coming out literally in a couple weeks. And there is a DLC where you can play as her as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, the Monster Prom is one of those things I've seen pop up a whole bunch, but I always forget about. But yeah, Monster Prom is definitely up there in terms of like stuff I need to check out. And thankfully, it's like everywhere now.
Yeah, like I remember it was only on PC, but then when I saw it was on Switch, I picked it up. I even bought a physical.
Oh yeah, the I think what was it? Super Rare Games did the physical of it.
Yeah, but they only did it for the Switch one. Though I apparently saw they did a PS4 physical, but I'm not sure.
I will have to investigate.
I saw Casey posted about it.
Oh yeah, I think that was by Red Art Games. Yes, it was. Red Art Games did the Monster Prom XXL edition, and it is still in stock.
Yeah,
I'll have to get on that.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun, especially because it's one of those. It's kind of the only visual novel that can play. That's up to 4 players.
Oh yeah, it does have a bunch of stuff like that. Wow, I didn't know this. There was only 1,500 copies made. So yeah, I'll definitely have to jump on that before they sell out.
Yeah, I would recommend you because it's actually pretty fun.
And yes, Mirth, I am talking about Casey from SMT5 Casey. It is the same one. But yeah, man, Marcos, thank you so much for waiting so long. I'm gonna we're almost out of B-roll, and I have been out of water for like I think almost half an hour, so I have to start winding down. But you have a good night, man.
All right, you too, Spencer.
All right. All right, we have our next person is going to be Seniorish, then Vincent, and I guess I have to say this. It will also be Cracker. Cracker has joined the SMTN Discord. Cracker, if you want to join, you could just join the town hall and mute yourself and then be picked as comes. But Seniorish, if you're still here and you're alive and not falling asleep, hello.
I am here. How are you?
So, Seniorish, give me your hottest take that I've never heard about P5S. I want you to just lay it on me. Like, give me the hotness.
I mean, it's my hottest take from my personal perspective, which is that I liked the Haru arc more than the On arc, which says a lot about how good I think that part of the game is.
Wow! Yeah, from you, that's like the Sophie's choice of arc picks. That's surprising.
Yeah.
Now, is that to a detriment of the On arc or to the positiveness of the Haru arc?
To me, it's just to the praise of how good I think they did Haru in this game, because I feel like one of my favorite things about it. Like I was rewatching it recently, actually, seeing where Haru just asks you to go talk to her. It felt like it very directly addressed one of people's issues with Haru, which is that she didn't mourn enough, and I like that they directly addressed why she was like that. And it's one of my favorite aspects of this game's plot, especially in like the first half.
Now, I mentioned this a little bit with Ozzy earlier, but I think you are a good example of someone who does not let this game die. Like,
yeah.
I feel like you're someone who I will just, every, 3 months, will just be, thinking about this scene in Strikers for no reason today.
No, yeah, I care a lot about this game, because, I was talking about this with Adam, actually, recently. With the way I talk about the games on, Twitter specifically, Royal is a game I defend heavily. Basically any criticism of the game I will have a defense for because I'm me. Strikers is a game that I'm just very unapologetically in love with and just want to spread it and be like, please play this game. It's incredible.
I'm trying to think of something. I remember I wanted to ask you for it. In terms of... Now, because... even with everything being said, On is still your favorite Phantom Thief after everything, correct? Yes. How did you feel they did On's moveset? Because one of my things I didn't play her a lot. I will say they made the whip, which I think is kind of a hard weapon to make feel satisfying. They made that very fun, and they gave her probably the most satisfying gun because they gave her an actual good SMG with rapid fire. It's you compare it to Yusuke's AR, and his is the most comedical, not realistic gun out of the whole game.
On's gun is funny because it's just probably one of her best things in her moveset. I do like how the whip feels. On was not one of my favorites to play necessarily. I played everyone. I got everyone up to basically the same level. No one ever fell behind in my playthrough. Because I made my tier list of it back when I first beat the game. My two favorite characters to play were Joker and Haru. But I think they did the whip really well, which I was happy about.
Yeah, the whip was really, really good. I would say one weird little nitpick about the whip, I would have liked if there was a timing mechanic similar to Sophie. How Sophie's thing with it, because you can't just Simon Belmont actually a whip. But I get it in terms of making it fun, but it would have been nice if there was a proficiency bonus, where let's say if you did whip attacks in a good succession, maybe your attacks were on fire, and that kind of goes back to wishing. I kind of wish there was more skill expandable combat things, because I love this game's combat, but I love it so much that it makes me wish there was more depth to it, even though I think there's still a lot of depth in there.
It's why I keep begging for Strikers 2 really badly.
It's got to come. There's no way Strikers 2 does not come.
Because the other thing, I mean, I'm kind of glad the whip doesn't have a timing mechanic because I'm really bad at Sophie, so it means I get to actually play on.
She's see, even when you master her, she's not satisfying though. That's the weird thing about it. Yeah, so Sophie's is interesting where she does good damage. That's why by the time I got to the end of the game, my my crew was just Joker, Skull, Wolf, and Sophie, but like Sophie was literally there just because she's the most OP light user and had a lot of healing.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like my end game squad was usually like I switched up a lot, but I feel like my pretty consistent squad, especially for bosses, was Joker, Zenkichi, Sophie, and fourth person who was interchangeable.
Who's plot relevant? Who do I need for the boss fight?
Yeah, it was usually who's plot relevant or Konoe's weak to electricity. Okay, Ryuji.
So I'll give you the opposite Aussie question. Who comes to mind in this game for the worst boss? And for this, we'll at least say, because I asked Mirth this, but I will say who is the worst boss who is an actual character. So, like, the Okinawa boss would not count. The final boss would not count. Like, they have to have some sort of, like, actual existence.
I mean, I really like every villain in this game. Like, this game I don't think has an Okumura. But if I had to pick one... I cannot remember his name. The second jail, if I had to pick one.
Now, like, it was funny, like, thinking about characters who, like, should suck. Wow, it's been a long day of talking. I think, like, characters like Natsume should be, like, an unredeemable, archetypal character who's just really dumb and stupid. But even him, I like how, like, they don't just go the easy way out with Yusuke. Like, Yusuke could have just been like, I hate you. You bad-mouthed my teacher and you stole art. You're just as bad as him. Whereas, like, they used it as, like, a character learning moment, which I really, really appreciated.
Yeah. That's what that's one of my favorite aspects of Striker's story in general, specifically the first three jails, is, using the like how it's kind of the lesson Sophie learns about, like, how even negative emotions can still be used to help people. And that's kind of their whole thing is, on Yusuke and Haru kind of using anger and sadness to really help, to help and sympathize with the person that they were fighting.
Now, obviously, unfortunately, the world of Persona 5 is not real. If it was real upon your death and you were reborn, would you like to be reborn instead of On's jumpsuit as Zenkichi's daughter, so you could actually be the #1 Phantom Thieves fan? Because, like, I don't know anyone who would look at that girl's room and go, "That's a cool room."
We haven't talked enough clearly then.
That's true. I've not seen what your room looks like. You could just be full of, like, fake fan made, like, Phantom Thief merch.
I mean, I do have a bit on my desk currently is the Joker mask that came with Royal, a plush of Joker and On, and the Joker amiibo, and behind me is a big Phantom Thieves logo. So, that's how I live in my room.
I was thinking about this recently because I think I saw, like, Kuro from the Midnight Channel, like, had put up, like, as a short an unboxing. I think as the farther away I get from it, I didn't like the mask from the Royal Collector's Edition. I thought that was, like, it was cool in the moment. I literally opened it once and I've never wanted to display it. Like, I didn't think it looked cool enough to display, which isn't even, like, a knock against it. It was just one of those things of, like, it's just a mask. Like, I have in front of me on my desk, I have my Zelda Game & Watch as on its little display stand. Because it can be a clock, but I can also just play it, Whereas, like, my amiibo, they don't take up a lot of space, whereas, like, that mask takes up a lot of space.
I mean, I like it personally. I'll display anything that's red and has the P5 on it. But,
it would have gotten bonus points if it was wearable. Like, if you could have worn it out of the box, I would have given it a pass.
I mean, you get attacked. It's not comfortable.
No.
It's made of, like, porcelain.
No, it is definitely not. But I will say, because I think we've not really talked about too much for it, I still do not forgive Atlas for not giving us a collector's edition for this game. This game deserved a collector's edition.
Yeah.
Big time.
What do you think it would have come with other than, just like soundtrack and maybe art book?
A steelbook that people didn't have to loot Best Buy for.
Well, that too.
I would say, if we're not doing like art book soundtrack or the easy stuff, I think you could have really leaned into the role play, the road trip motif a lot of like how they sent the voice actors and a bunch of press like bento boxes, like get like a P5 branded bento box, you send a water bottle, like get like a summer kit, like something you would like find, get like a summer hat, just like little like even just like little like kitschy touristy things, like have a keychain from like each spot, or not even a keychain, have like a souvenir like from each little like location, like be like, oh, I got like a snow globe from like this jail, or I got like a desk mount, or like a little tiny like plushy thing. Like you could have done like a cute little care package from the road trip, because like even the Japanese one's pretty weak. Like the Japanese collector's edition's nice because it has a behind the scenes DVD, soundtrack, and art book. But the art book's pretty tiny. It only has like 2 pages of concept art really, and it had a bag. Like it was a cool bag, but like it's just like a fanny pack size bag.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about for you? What would you have given it?
Like I said, I'll have to take a Sophie plush because she's cute. I also really like one idea I have with like the kind of leaning into like the tourist like road trip type thing. If they kind of had, if it came with like a poster that was like just a big road map of every location, I think that could have been neat.
Ooh, that is one thing Japan did that I did like. They had a
P5 aesthetic.
I think it was a cloth fabric poster of every city location with like a Morgana drawing next to it of like, here's Okinawa, here's blah blah blah, here's Tokyo. Like that was a cool one.
Yeah,
but,
I like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like you could have done with it, but again, going back to it, this is a game they announced 2 months before releasing it. It felt like a game that had very little priority to Atlas, which is kind of a bummer.
And also, really, it feels like they just saw P5D and Q2 didn't do well, didn't really think about why, and they were like, well, Strikers will probably do the same thing.
If it's not mainline, they don't want a collector's edition for it.
We have warehouses filled with Koromaru plushies. No one bought them.
Oh, that's definitely not true. But that's only just due to the fact that there were not a lot of those. That is funny though. No, you could have done some good plushie stuff. Like, I don't know if you make Sophie a plush. Although I guess if it's like her and her like little robo shopkeeper form, that could have been fun. Yeah, it's tough.
I want a Zenkichi plush. I need a plush of a 40-year-old man, please.
He would be very fun. Like, just get like him and his, because like I always think Zenkichi's outfit is so simple but so stupid in like the funniest way. I'll never forget. I forget this person's name, but I found an amazing Zenkichi cosplay of like him and his like normal getup, and I commented saying like, this is a fantastic cosplay, but you have one major thing wrong. Your shoes were too cool. He's got the dorkiest, most boring fucking shoes ever, and the cosplayer responded like, "That's a good point. I got too nice of shoes."
No, yeah, he's such a freaking. It's so simple, but it so effectively tells you who he is with this shirt and also like shitty sneakers.
I'm just now imagining like the Willem Dafoe drip video with like Zenkichi. It's like, I got these pants at JCPenney's, these shoes are from the Gap, and this ties I think I found in a dumpster.
Yeah, that sounds like him.
I haven't shampooed my hair in 20 years, and I don't even know what a haircut looks like at this point. But yeah, anything else? Anything you've been dying to let off your chest? This is a safe space. You can spoil anything or complain about anything with no repercussions.
I mean, because I adore this game. What I've kind of said about it in the past, I think I said this in like the discussion video I did with Adam like the day after we beat it, was like, I liked this game more than original, but Royal's better than Strikers for me. Which I know is not the most uncommon opinion.
That's a very common opinion.
Yeah. I will say I have more like little nitpicks with Strikers the further I got from it, now that it's been like a year. But most of them just boil down to I think the combat could have had a bit more complexity, but still stupidly fun, so I don't really mind. And some of the side quests are really tedious. Other than that, like, I have very little actually wrong with this game. Um, Soundtracks, like, I will say, I did a poll recently on Twitter where I was just like, hey, which game's soundtrack do you prefer, P5/Royals or Strikers? P5's won, which didn't surprise me. I saw a lot of people say though that like basically everyone just said that P5, like Strikers, all of Strikers battle themes are amazing, but Royals just has better music overall. And to that, I would say that people are severely underrating every town theme in this game.
Yeah, there's a lot of like bangers, even when it's not like in your face rock guitar. Like I like a lot of the themes.
Yeah.
So
like in general, I think I prefer most of the like town themes to like even like Tokyo Daylight, Tokyo Emergency from original.
Well, clearly I'm gonna have to drag you on to the world's most mean music tier list. The you, me, and Ozzy will just have to go track by track of everything in Royal and everything in Strikers and be like, what is legitimately the better soundtrack?
I mean, me and Adam did a tier list of every single Binding of Isaac item, so we're not strangers to doing long, stupid shit like that.
Have you guys uploaded that?
No, it was something we just did because we wanted to. It wasn't recorded.
No,
This is how we spend our free time.
I feel like that'd be like one of those things you see the video of the thumbnail and it's like 19 hours long.
And this was before Repentance. This was just after Plus.
Oh, okay. Damn. I was thinking it was at least going to be Repentance. Yeah, then at that point, yeah, I'm sorry, 23 hours long.
Yep.
All right, well, I'm going to let you go, but before your recommendation, I'm going to ask you this. Do you choose Strikers 2? You can only pick one. Do you want a Strikers 2 that takes place outside of Japan or has playable Akechi and Kasumi?
See, I'm one of those people that doesn't like outside of Japan would be awesome and it would make a lot of sense for Strikers moving forward given what the original was, but I don't really mind the game being in Japan again if they can make it interesting. So give me Sumi and Akechi, 1,000,000%.
I would not have thought you picked for that one. I appreciate the curveball. So, what is your
I
recommendation?
really want a Persona 5 game with all 12 thieves in it. That's important to me.
See, I'm like at this point, I'm like, just give me Persona Strikers Multiverse Edition, where it's just everything from every series.
That would also be cool.
But yeah, so what is your goodbye game recommendation?
I guess my game recommendation is the one you recommended me last time I was on the podcast, which is Spider-Man PS4.
Oh my god. I'm so glad you finally like watching you tweet about Spider-Man has made me so happy. Like if you didn't like Spider-Man PS4, I would have been so sad. Now, you've 100% at everything. You've done all the story DLC, right?
I have not finished the DLC yet. I finished the first chapter of the DLC. I need to do all the side stuff in that first like DLC chapter, and then I'm gonna do the other two.
Are you wetting your pants with excitement knowing that Miles Morales is even better?
I believe it.
It's so good.
I like it.
I actually,
yeah,
I restarted Spider-Man on PS5 just because I never did New Game Plus, and I wanted to do like clean up some of the extra like DLC trophies and stuff, and just going back to, I'm like, Jesus, this game is really fun and really pretty, and has no right to be that good.
I never got tired of playing it. It was just always fun for me.
Also, I'm sorry you don't get the No Way Home costumes.
Yeah.
Or Andrew, you don't get back crack Spider-Man.
Damn. I guess before you kick me out, I guess relating to Spider-Man PS4, because I'm just curious, what was your favorite suit in the game?
Shit,
if you had to pick
hard.
One?
At launch, I think the comic book one, just because it looks so good. There is a fun Easter egg though with, I think this was the 100% unlock costume or getting all the backpacks of Peter wearing his mask and nothing else, well, in boxers.
That's 100% reward, yeah.
If you zoom in, you can actually see they included Peter's 3 chest hairs individually.
That's incredible.
Because there's one throwaway joke about how Peter can't grow chest hair, and he's like, "Hey, I've got 3," and they
Yeah.
literally modeled in 3
It's like
tiny
the second
chest
cutscene in
hairs.
the game.
It's such a funny little like dumb throwaway thing, but yeah, for that I would have to say, including all of them now, like with the DLC ones and all the ones they've updated. You have this one because this one's on PS4. The Tobey Maguire suit looks incredible. Like they did a great
they
job
nailed
on
that
that one.
suit.
I'm a sucker for. Oh, I know actually. My new favorite is probably the Inside Out suit from No Way Home because they actually nailed the fact that it has wires. Like my one thing with that suit that I love a lot is that there's wires sticking out because it's the inside part out of the suit. But a lot of merch just makes it look like a black and gold suit.
Cause for me, I don't really know why like I latched onto this one, but I wore it for basically the entire game. I wore the Spider Scarlet suit for like the entire game, and I love it.
They're all, and you know what? Like the best part is like for as many crazy costumes as that has, it doesn't even have a single symbiote suit. So like, just think of how much possibilities like they're gonna have for like the sequel.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's like the thing I need a PS5 for, other than Persona 5 Royal without load times.
Oh well, I mean, well, to be fair, the PS5 does not fix Royal at all. It has the exact same load times, unfortunately.
You know what? It's
but
fine.
It does
My
get,
PS4 is breaking.
It does at
so
least get
it
does at least get rid of the load times in Strikers. Strikers, like once you play it on PS5, then that fucks you because then it's like, oh, this game loads. Now is your PS5 is your PS4 issue that it like, is it sound like a jet engine or is it like other issues?
The console itself runs fine. The disc reader is so shit.
Really, man, I've always had like so much good like luck with consoles. By the way, knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood, knock on wood. Like I've thankfully never had that, but like that sucks. Cause yeah, I've heard of like faulty Blu-ray drive, and that's like such a pain in the ass to repair. Like let alone now in a pandemic.
Yeah, the way I every time because I got it physically, every time I wanted to play Spider-Man, it was like, all right, I'm gonna eject and put the disc back in at least 20 times. Do that for 5 minutes until it finally reads.
So weird. That's such a weird thing. Did you get your PS4 used or new?
I believe new.
That's extra annoying. But wow.
I think what happened was it somehow just got bumped wrong when I was moving, because that was when I noticed it happened.
Someone just elbow dropped it from like the 3rd floor of your house.
Something like that. I don't fucking know.
Well, Seniors, where can people ask you for more videos now that you're a famous YouTuber? Where can they follow you online?
I'm Seniorish everywhere. I'm on Twitter, and fun story. I don't know if you've seen me on Twitter. I've been replaying Danganronpa.
Oh my god, dude! Are you playing with like the worst sound mixing ever? All your clips, I'm like, excuse me, I cannot hear anyone talk.
No, yeah, I fixed it later because I just forgot about this. The fact that fucking DR1 especially just has really weird sound mix, so you have to turn the music way down.
It was just so funny. Like your tweets were like, "Look, it's my favorite character."
Yeah.
What?
You could barely hear, and like I didn't really notice how bad it was until I got.
You were too excited. You were just shaking the entire time to be playing Danganronpa again.
No, but yeah, I'm gonna play through all 4 games again. Partly because I'm wanting to get myself psyched up to actually maybe do the Danganronpa character ranking for real.
Ooh,
so I might actually make a YouTube video too.
Now that's a tier list.
Yeah.
Picking everybody.
I have a basic idea of where a lot of people rank, but I want to play the series again to remind myself.
Easy recommendation for everybody. Danganronpa 1 now on PC and Xbox Game Pass, which is an insane thing to say.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It actually, like, that was a bigger deal for me than the games coming to Switch, which I thought was very funny.
Yeah, it coming to Switch just kind of made more sense. It being on Xbox is just funny.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and by some miracle, you are not our final guest. We've got Vincent, and next up is Chris. So, let me unmute Vincent so I can stop being a big old meanie. Vincent, come on down. Let us know what the heck did you think of Persona 5 Skittles.
Well, I think Skittles are quite good, actually. No, I'm just joking. I actually really enjoyed it for all it was because I was very excited for it when it got announced because I realized it was going to be more of a sequel to Persona 5, like a genuine sequel. So it was very interesting. I beat it only like a month after it came out, and it wasn't as amazing as I thought it was going to be because I played the demo. I was like, this rocks. I am all for this. But then when I played, I was like, yeah, I had a really good time. It was fun.
Now, like, since you had kind of like blown through it pretty fast, going back to what I was talking about earlier with Marcos for it, have you wanted to like replay it and kind of 100% it, or was it kind of just like a fun one and done?
I have thought about going back and doing the stuff I didn't do because I didn't realize the Reaper was actually in the game and was like a sort of extra boss.
Yeah, like it has a great amount of side content, but the thing with it is it's funny of like I know I'm gonna platinum this game one day. My problem is I know that if I like do it in a marathon, it'll make me hate the game because like just some games there's just like that one or two like things that ask you to do that's just it's too much or it's too grindy or it's too whatever, and like leveling up the band or the bond meter to 99 I know it's just such a slog. So like my thing has just been
absolutely
every couple of weeks or months I'll be like let's pop into Strikers, let's make a little bit of progress, make a little progress, as opposed to just trying to marathon through it, which has been the much better course of action to do.
Yeah, I absolutely get you. A lot of my favorite games I feel are one and dones, and I don't want to play them again just because I like having that good first experience just being like the one thing I remember. You know what I mean? Like that good memory that you have, and then it's just, you know what? That's it. Let's just leave it a good memory.
And there's not a lot of games I can think of, especially just because of with how many games are still always coming out and my eternal never dying backlog. Like I would have to be really, really pushed in a certain direction to beat a game and then go, oh my god, I gotta beat this again. When it's like I could be playing, like even like right now, going back to like I should be playing Pokemon Legends, but I'm playing Kingdom Hearts. It's like
Yeah.
I just feel guilty for it.
Yeah, I totally get you. I'm actually getting all the endings in Devil Survivor 2 right now, so I totally get what you're saying.
See, multiple endings that at least gives me like that thing of like I'm unlocking something new that I didn't have the first time at least is like to push
Yeah,
along. So that's at least a little bit more helpful for it. Are you doing Devil Survivor 2 3DS or DS?
3DS.
Okay. I'm trying to think. I don't even remember what my first ending was in Devil Survivor 2. That feels like so long ago.
I love getting the endings, just like seeing at the end, okay, what did I do right? And then I actually saw that I got everyone right. And it was like, okay, what do I genuinely believe in? And it was like, oh, that's so much fun.
So for you then, kind of going back to Strikers, was there anything that you kind of would have liked to improve? Anything that like sticks out to you of like, I liked this, but I didn't love that?
Um, that's a good question because I feel like I'm always thinking I could have done this, but then when someone puts me on the spot, I'm like, but I think the one thing where I was like, I wish they would have done this a little better was the final boss just being another godlike entity. I know everyone complains about it, but it was one of those like I feel like this game really did not need another god final boss. I get it. It was integrated well enough and it was built up, but I just feel like I was like, okay, well, like I can't even remember the final boss's name, but I
Yeah,
remember yelled about.
it's a good final boss fight. I think it's a better final boss fight than Vanilla P5, but yeah,
Oh yeah.
just having it be just another last minute introduced deity really just rings really really hollow, especially then if you're coming off of Royal where like, hey, this is a really personal final boss fight. It definitely just kind of rings flat, but I will at least say that final boss gets the saving grace at least of it's at least always a fun bite. Like it's not like that thing of like there's nothing worse than when you have a great game with a terrible final boss. Where at least this one sticks the landing, not in the boss execution, in terms of like who the boss was, but at least in the like what's it like to fight this boss.
Oh yeah, because it was actually really fun to fight, and like how you split everyone up into groups and you all tackle them. It really did make it feel like you're a team working together to take this thing down. It was very nice. I really enjoyed that. but it was just sort of like, I guess we're just doing this again, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I feel so bad for all the people in the Persona universe who has to deal with this every 2 years.
It's like those. I'll never forget when I finally did beat P5. It was like when you have to fight the archangels before the final boss. I'm like, there's no reason for this. Like, this is just like,
Right.
all right, we better go through the motions again and get these 4 guys out of here, dust them off. And I'm like, this is not fun. Like you. It's like you could have tried a little, not even tried a little harder, just thought a little harder of like, who else can we like have? Because like nothing's better than having like oh, I bet I'm gonna fight this, and it just being like a total left turn.
Yeah, like fighting the archangels. I played. I didn't play many Mega games, but I later realized like how much that is like something you just do a lot. Like I played SMT1 like a few months ago. You take down all the archangels in the neutral route and in the chaos route. I did not know that was like something that was like kind of just a Megaton staple. Like, okay, let's take down the archangels.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to SMT5 for doing an interesting thing with the archangels, for whether they're optional or not. Of just like, hey, they're there, but they're not like doing the thing you're used to them doing.
Yeah, archangels are cool. I like them in SMT5. They're fun boss fights.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think though, especially Jesus, we're like on. Oh my God, this is 3 hours and 10 minutes. I appreciate the fact that there's still people into this.
Sheesh.
But trying to think of any other like little final things for. Oh yeah, I talked about this like a little bit before. But did you mess around very much, or did you? I guess I should say, did you purchase the DLC for the background tracks?
I did not, but I won't lie and say I do listen to them every time I go do my exercise. So they're there. Specifically the Persona 1 remix. I love that.
Oh yeah, that battle.
So
much. That battle remix is very very good. But no, one of my like favorite things about it that like I still cannot believe no other Atlas game has really done for it is like, hey, there's DLC music and you can play all of them and they're not tied to a costume. In a sense of like, man, I really really liked how that worked. Although then a weird thing with this one of like there was multiple different weapons, but again this is such a weird thing because Omega Force does this, but just didn't in this one. There are no costumes. Like you can't go into the dungeons with your normal clothes.
Yes.
You can't like have any like weird outfits, which just seems so odd because like
I know.
It
I
just
totally
seems like
agree.
it just seems like one of those things of like. You could have done that. You could have sold it. You could have sold DLC, and it would have been like I would have bought costumes. Like why not? Because you're wearing the same clothing like the whole time, and it's like that's kind of weird coming off of the series that's known for costumes. Like even kind of going back to SMT5 after playing SMT4 and Apocalypse, going into a game with no costume is very very odd.
Yeah, like I was weird. I was like, it was weird to find out like Hyrule Warriors had costumes.
Hyrule Warriors has an insane amount of costumes, especially Age of
Yeah,
Calamity.
I was so shocked, like with Age of Calamity, how much you could customize Link, but then I was like, oh, they're gonna do costumes. They already have them in the engine and all that. This is just gonna be a quick thing. But I was like, no, they don't actually have it. I was like, what? That is so shocking. But then I was like, oh, that's just disappointing. But hey, at least we got some pretty good music out of it. So hey, at least we got some wins. Take them when you can get them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is a funny thing of like I would rather be asking questions like this for a game that I'm really really happy with, as opposed to like this is nothing that like detrimentally affected the base game. It's just one of those things of I'm here for more. Give me more because everything that's here is already really really good for me.
Yeah, I could totally get that.
But yeah, any other last things you want to throw out there, or end things off with your game recommendation for everybody?
Ooh, for last minute things for strikers specifically, or just
anything
in general? Anything at all. All right. I guess I'll just say about strikers. Stop with Futaba's gamer speech, please. I get it's a part of her character, but they just lean too much. It's okay if it's there, just don't do it all the time. It's okay to have it every now and then. Just know your limit.
I'll give you a counterpoint. You can leave in her cringy gamer speak, but you have to at least let the other protagonist make fun of her for sounding dorky. Like if you can make fun of Ryuji, you can make fun of Futaba.
Okay. All right. we can make fun. If we can make fun of her and be like, "You're being a dork," then okay, I guess we can leave her little gamer speech in.
I'm just imagining like whenever she'll be like the RNG gods smile upon us, and just like an awkward silent moment afterwards, and just like Yusuke, that was pretty cringe.
That was so cringeworthy.
It's like
He said that in Royal.
It's in character for both. You can call her cringe, please. Just somebody do it.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other recommendation or what else?
Game recommendation. I guess since I'm playing it, try out Metroid Fusion. Fun game.
Are you playing GameCube or Wii?
Metroid Fusion?
Jesus, I'm sorry. I'm going off of like my brain. I heard Prime, even though I know you said Fusion. That is so weird.
No, that's all right, man.
No, yes, Metroid Fusion, great game. Unfortunately, not a lot of places you can play it though.
No, not at all. You're gonna have to, if you don't have a Wii U or a Game Boy Advance, you're gonna have to be a filthy pirate. Sorry to say, you're gonna have to be a little.
Those sweet ambassador program 3DSs out there, everybody.
Dude, oh my god, I wanted that so badly because I saw they had some genuinely great games on there, like Minish Cap. Like, I was like, why did they never do this for us? I know it's meant to be special, but like, man, what could have been?
Yeah. But 3DS, even without the ambassador, still a pretty good system, and still got Devil Survivor 1 and 2.
That's true. Yeah, Devil Survivor 1, best Megaten game.
All right, Vincent, thanks so much for waiting, man. Have a good night.
Oh no, thank you. That's what's great. Thank you.
All right, our last person, last but not least, the artist formerly known as Cracker, Chris, the mannequin man god. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I would be lying if I said I am not very tired, but I love talking about this game and I love talking with everybody. So lead us off, man. What do you think about Strikers? What do you love? What do you hate? What do you want to nitpick? The floor is yours.
So I love Persona 5 Strikers. I played it right when it came out. I did 100% it. So, you know, the last thing you can do, you beat the Reaper on Merciless mode. I did that. So, yeah, I really loved Persona 5 Strikers.
Have you platinumed it, or if you were into?
I played on the Switch. I know it's not the best version. I kind of just like to have all my games on there, just all together. Like, I have a PS4 actually, but I just don't really play it that much because I'm just like, I don't know. I just like having all my games there, and you just turn it on and you start playing it.
I'll say one weird thing you miss out on with the Switch. And I was thinking of this because, like, I have a pretty decent Switch collection. Because of how tiny the Switch carts are, it's not satisfying even when there is good art on there. Like, whereas, like, you can fit some nice-looking art on a, like, PS4 disc, but, like, I feel a lot of times with the Switch, it's like, yep, that's, like, half of it's legal, the other half of it's a logo, and maybe you get a JPEG.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually one thing I find really interesting about your channel because I basically get everything digital. And so when I know you're really big into the steelbooks and the collector's editions, and I find all that really interesting. I feel like just kind of vicariously, I just enjoy that stuff by looking at your content. But yeah, I mean, I pretty much do everything digital. I'm just really boring that way, I guess.
But you are way more convenient than my collection will ever be. Like I've had so many, like, no one. My collection's cool until you're like not me and like you're someone who like comes over to like check out a game, and I'll be like, yeah, dude, look at all my games I got, and they'll be playing something and be like, okay, well, I want to try this now. And be like, all right, go to the other room, pull out the game, put it in the thing. Which is funny because like most people hate. Like I always find it so funny when I'm listening to people who have like primarily like digital collections. I always find it really funny when they're like, "Oh yeah," when it's like, "Yeah, I really like digital because I don't have to get up, open a case, and do something." Whereas like for me, I love that feeling. Like if I could if I had to go down a flight of stairs to get a game, open it up, look at it, and then keep going on, I would gladly do that, just because it's I like that tactile feeling of opening up a case, looking at something. Unless it's then a weird situation of I buy a game and there's nothing in the case and it's just a barren wasteland. I'm oh, okay, well that's whatever.
Yeah, no, I actually do think it's really cool, and I have friends who have collections like that, and I'm the person who I just get my hands all, respectfully. I kind of like to look through everything and just appreciate it. Mostly, it's not that I don't like it, it's just it's something a physical thing you have to take care of. If you just download something, it's just there. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, all you
It's
have to worry about is Nintendo's eShop servers blowing up. Everything else is
that. Yeah, that's a good point. The way I think about it is, oh well, by that point, you can probably emulate those things a lot more easily.
Yeah, very, very true. I mean, Jesus, even with the Switch now, when you can play the new
Yeah.
Pokemon game 2 weeks before it's officially out, that's when you know. You're very lucky,
boy.
Nintendo. You're a very popular program. Otherwise, everyone would be like, boy, it sure is weird this new Switch game that's not out yet is on the internet everywhere 2 weeks early.
Yeah, I feel like being on Discord, I'm very much aware of that stuff. I definitely don't do that, but I'm pretty lawful, I guess, in that way.
Well, it's funny, for me, and this comes up a lot with my Vita and stuff, but people will be like, oh, well, why don't you, even with, the 3DS, be like, oh, why don't you just jailbreak it? Because, now that, there's not a lot of, new games still coming out for it, why don't you do this for it? And I'm like, my backlog in my collection on everything is so, I have never have any reason, outside of legal reasons. I
Yeah.
have no reason, I'm never looking at my games and be I just have nothing to play. I better download and put the original Super Mario Brothers on this thing, because I got nothing else to do.
Yeah, I totally relate to that. And yeah, just with Strikers, I really loved it. And you were talking with people about nitpicks they have, and I think one thing I was kind of thinking about a lot while I was playing it, I kind of always ran into this thing where you use all your MP on your skills, right? And that just does a lot of damage compared to anything else you can do with the combos. And then you use all your items for that. And then it's okay, well, I used all my MP items and I used all my MP, so now I'm just kind of doing way less damage very slowly by doing the combos until it's dead. And I feel like that kind of leads to a weird pacing issue in the battles. But I mean, I thought it was really fun. Obviously, I 100%ed it, but I didn't like that so much. It felt a little bit weird to me.
No, yeah, because it has a very uneven reliance on it. Obviously, you can beat the game without ever using a single skill, but it is one of those things of the damage comparatively is so great. It's well, why would you ever not do that if that's gonna make everything go faster? So it is one of those weird ones of if in a sequel, I would really hope that we see more flexibility of let's incorporate skills and I get it hey, when you stop it and you pull up that menu it looks like the game, but I would have almost liked it more if hey, keep everything the way it is, or maybe on Merciless, it would have been interesting of let's see what it's like to play this game where time doesn't stop when you're using your skills, have it all be action.
I think just the difference between damage from pausing and using the skill and doing the skills, the combos, is just too much. But yeah, and I'm just thinking about in that Merciless difficulty fight with the Reaper, I'm just imagining doing that with just combos, and I would love to see someone do that on YouTube or something, because I just can't picture that happening, honestly. You just do so much less damage that way.
It was really funny. I was thinking about not pointless but obvious challenge run videos, and I came across one that actively upset me in a way I was not actually ready for. I thought this was so funny, and it's got a ton of views. I saw a challenge run video that was, can you beat Kingdom Hearts on level 1? And I'm that's literally a thing every game lets you do. That's not something you have to go out of your way for. These games are they have a no XP mode for a reason. So it's just so funny. Are we at this point with challenge videos that's is it can you beat this game with only pressing the up button? It's like, well, yeah, but like, it's not really like that's just like we're gonna get to a point where it's like, can you beat this game in under 5 hours? Like that's literally just speed running. Like you're not like breaking like the limits for it. Like that's why like I mean I'm already like really bad when it comes to like challenge video things because like I remember giving Gnarly a bunch of shit because when he was like, oh I'm gonna do Nocturne without buffs and I'm like, oh that's cool, and then he showed me his footage and I'm like, are you using a fucking Game Shark? And I'll be like immediately disqualified in my brain. That doesn't count. You used the Game Shark. Like it's like we shouldn't have it be a battle of attrition for like I mean sorry we shouldn't have it just be like, well this would take a really long time so I'm gonna do this to max level. Be like, no, show me that. Like I'll respect the guy who legitimately gets max level in Nocturne after 900 hours. Like I remember going back to Kingdom Hearts 1, it's like when people are like, can you get to level 99 on Destiny Island? Yes, you shouldn't, but if you do, that's really stupid but cool.
Yeah, I watched that video of Gnarly's and I kind of had the same thought. I was like, well, I mean, but people have things they have to do outside of playing video games, I guess. But at the same time, it's like, well, you didn't even do the challenge. But I didn't say that.
It's four parts of not doing. Well, it is funny because like if it was one of those like, can you do this with this? It'd just be like every top comment on that video should be no, you didn't.
But yeah, I like the idea of it because I just because with speedruns especially, I mean the point is I think to just get more out of a game, So I like that idea, but I just feel like every video of a challenge run ever is just, well, I decided to change it this way, and then I decided to change it this way, and it's like, okay, well, you're not doing what you said you were gonna do, so.
Can you beat Final Fantasy VII at 300% speed and get a normal percent any world record speed strat? Be like, we did it, everybody. I beat Final Fantasy VII in 30 minutes. I had to max level everyone to level 99. We were playing at 500% speed, but we did it.
Oh my gosh, I have not seen that.
But yeah, Chris, thank you so much for being the last one of our 3 and 9 hour long marathon. Do you have any final words you want to bestow upon everybody, or any game recommendation?
Play Trails in the Sky.
All right, now you can't just throw that out there like you just told someone to just like pick up Devil May Cry. So we're gonna get into this. Are you saying play Trails of the Sky 1, like start from the beginning, go from it?
And this is so this is coming from someone I've only played first chapter and I'm playing second chapter right now.
Okay.
But play Trails in the Sky because it's really good.
My experience with it was really weird. I've played only 4 of them. I've played first chapter, second chapter, both on PSP, and then I played Trails of Cold Steel 1 and 2 on Vita, and nothing else.
Yeah. They are very meaty games, though. Like you said, you played only 4 of them. Like, that's a lot.
That's true.
And the first chapter I thought was pretty long, and then I didn't want to look at spoilers or anything, but for second chapter I just kind of wanted to know how many chapters it was, and it was like 8, I think. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's a reason. There's a reason 2 almost didn't come out like 9 different times. Like the development of those games, like it's really funny. Like there's so much more of a story behind the English release of those than even the Japanese development. Like for Falcom, it's like, oh, this is just like another game for us to make. But like then for localizing it, it's like this took 9,000 years for 6 people to make, and it only sold like 6 copies. But here you go, enjoy it.
Yeah, I just love this type of game where it just feels like you can just go through it linearly, but you can also just really take your time and talk to everyone. And people I feel like make a big deal out of 100%ing it, but I just feel like it's fine. Like I didn't 100% first chapter, and I still enjoyed it. And that's kind of why I like games like Xenoblade too. I think it's almost kind of similar, even though they seem pretty different. But like you can just go linear with the story, but there's a lot of things you can do outside of that and just enjoy the atmosphere.
Are you have you played any other Falcom series, or is just Trails for now?
Not to my knowledge. Yeah,
I would say
just played Trails
obviously
1.
This is like 900 hours later when you do finally finish the Trails games. Definitely check out Ys. I think Ys 8 is a great one to jump into.
Yes.
Ys 9 I still need to check out, but everyone I know who's played it says is great.
I see a lot of East talk on Discord, so I'm definitely gonna look at that.
Ease is awesome. Great music, although that's also not surprising. If you want budget
Yeah.
Persona vibes, Falcom made a game called Tokyo Xanadu. And Tokyo Xanadu has got very fun, like, budget, like 7 out of 10 vibes, but it's really good.
Okay, Tokyo Xanadu.
Trying to think of any, because Falcom just makes way too many games, but yeah, I'm a sucker for like niche, like usually, like, people would think of like Persona and Atlas as niche. I think of like weird budget RPGs. Like I think of experience games. I think of Falcom. Like
Yeah.
I think of you should have to think who the company is for a normal person for them to be niche. Like I don't think of like something that's like sold millions of copies like worldwide. Like I and obviously like it's not saying like oh I like it just because it's niche, but it's one of those funny things of like I think because I grew up with like the AAA big Square Enixes, it's always made me really respect the companies who still make the low budget stuff, because like even though it's low budget, it's still full heart. Like it's always got like you can tell
Yeah.
the people who make it really care.
Yeah, it's better sometimes too,
Oh,
because
yeah.
they focus more on what they can do with their budget.
Because like
I don't know.
you look at like you're playing like I'm assuming on PC like Trails of Cold Steel, sorry
Yep.
Trails in the Sky. That is not a graphically impressive game even when it came out at the time, but it's like its characters look nice, the music is
Yeah,
great.
no, I think it's pretty. I still think it's a pretty game.
Yeah, but I mean even at the time like it looked like that you could have made
Yeah.
that run on like a PS1. Like it was not pushing any buttons.
Yeah.
But no, it has a charm. Falcom is great. Here's another one. If you actually like how those look, a lot of the earlier Ys games are really good in that way, but not super ported well. Ys Origins is gorgeous, 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 and is on literally everything. That was on like, Jesus, like
Ys Origins.
every system on me, and it's like the earliest one in the timeline. Although those games' timelines are all over the place, so it doesn't actually
Yeah.
matter.
So you
But
could
yeah.
just play it without worrying about. Okay.
Yeah, they're more of a suggestion than a timeline. It's like, yeah, you're still the same guy every game, but like they're not being like, boy, that adventure, because like their timelines make Kingdom Hearts makes like look like nothing, because it's basically like, okay, well, 4 is technically the last in the timeline, 8 is the earliest after Origins, but then 1 and 2 are like in the middle, and then 9 is on the furthest in the timeline, but we still have things we have to pick up from 7. So it's like, just jump into them. Don't think about it that hard. Which is actually kind of funny, because even for as convoluted as the Trails games can be, at least with those, it's like you know what you missed out on, because those at least had a cohesive like release and games.
Yeah.
All right, well that's enough of talking about the world's worst anagrammed series. I do love Trails, but Tits is not a good anagram for that series. No one's like, you playing Tits in the Sky? Like, yes, I am. I'm 9. I'm 9 years old, and I made that joke. Chris, thank you for coming on. I'm gonna wrap this up and look at the clock and be disappointed in myself for doing this for the last when the stream is not loading. That's a good sign for it. 3 hours and 20 minutes. Let's try and make it not 3 hours and 30. So I'm gonna dip out of this and say goodbye to everybody. But goodbye to you, Chris, for being the last one, and Cross Ren for forgetting to leave the call. I appreciate you as well. All right, I'm out of the Discord. I'm wrapping up the show, and the best way to wrap up the show is to thank everyone for listening to this live as well. Mirth, thank you for coming on as well. Lawson, Paige, you are a robot. I probably shouldn't have called out your name, but thanks for being in the chat. DHI Hollow, I appreciate you being here. Christian, appreciate you also being here. Seniorish, Schmitty, Ozzy, Demi Crow, everybody, Yowie Church. It's awesome getting to talk to everybody. Had a great time tonight. Way longer than I would have thought, but good way to kind of kick off my weekend. And yeah, let's get our little goodbyes and everything in order. Say goodbye to Haru B-roll. And yes, if you liked this podcast, it's normally not 3 hours, but if you liked this podcast, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, all that fun stuff. If you would like to support the podcast and help pay for very large hosting fees, like uploading a 3.5-hour audio file, you can go to patreon.com/SMTN and be a executive producer at the $5 and up level and get your name read, or just be a fan at the $1 and up level. There's different tiers, different perks, giveaways, other things like that. Any amount really, really, really helps. I have a goal right now of, I think it's $100. We're like $25 away from it. If I can get to $100 in a month, I'm going to do a big video project. The first one's going to be about all Persona 5 and Persona 3 dance, actually, and Persona 4 DLC, rating them, reviewing them, and letting you know which ones you should buy and skip from someone who is not a cynical hater of those games. So if you have $1 or $2 or $5 you can pitch in, it really helps out. Like I said, though, our executive producers do get a shout out at the end of every podcast episode, so shout out to all of our Patreon producers, such as Jagangus, Cross Renren, Dozy Bear, Jazzy Jefferson, K-Horse, Patrick Dissart, Philip Myers, C-Show, Solaire, Cameron Sharp, and Robert Dogman Magadelis. Thank you all so much for being awesome, supporting the show, keeping this ship afloat. Really appreciate everybody. I can't believe I'm still up either, Cross Renren. It is very late, but you all made this a blast. We're definitely past my goal of being done by 2 hours, as we're 3 hours and 35 minutes in. But hey, it's Persona 5 Strikers. I love Persona 5 Strikers. I love talking about it with all of you. I'm glad you played it. If you're listening to this and it's still up, download it on PlayStation Plus. I don't know why you listened to this for 3 hours and didn't download it, but check it out. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel, and yeah, be back next week for probably predictions talk. Not even probably, definitely predictions talk. There was going to be a bigger plan here, but we're really long in the tooth, so expect an announcement, because next week's will be a community-focused episode, but will not be a town hall. And I will need as much help for that as I can. So goodbye, everybody, and have a good night.